repeated a lot of the points President Trump made.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we will continue to look at that. Just before I go, because we got to go over to the midday show here. So my stop was 43.70. We're going to change that now. I mean, I'm not going to let this run all the way back up. We only have 10% left now, so it's not a big deal. I'm just going to wait for VWAP, man, 43.20. So we can just put that bid in right now, 43.21. If it hits, we're out of that one. And I will see you guys at 2 p.m.
Yes, sir. We'll be back. And well, we gave you guys an extra yesterday. We gave you guys an extra 6 or 7 seconds. Maybe it was 8. I'm not sure. It's about 40 right now. So
it pissed someone off.
We're feeling very generous, Joe. So we'll be back at 2 o'clock, like Sean said. Enjoy the professor himself and Joey Options.
All right, go get it, boys.
Peace. Greek salad.
Greek salad? What? Boom, boom. Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Joey Opsh. I'm Sharif. And let's go, chat. Let's go. We got Hangry Wife, Brian, Bryanston. Shout out to my man, Bryanston. We got, who else? P. Nuru, Danny Patel, Damien. We got Bailey Buttons, and I seen it all. Shout out to Mr. Leahy and Super No. Yes, Ronaldo. Come on, let's go. Some new names. Brandon Nick, JC Money, Ryan Phillips, Rest Assured Worship. Good morning, right back at you. Poor Robin Hood. We also got Taylor. We got Mike PD right up. Trip Q, Austin. Shout out to my man Austin. Stock Market Bull 427. A day trading. Here I am, you bastard. Shout out to Luis. I love it. I know he's coming in hot right from the get-go.
That is hot.
Man. Shout out. You know where that's from too. Tintin Snowy. Okay, Tintin, like the Adventures of Tintin. Rivian Millionaire. Joey, help, I'm losing money, he says, man. Coffee Black and Angry Rob. Shout out to my man, Angry Rob. Who else? We got Big Fishing Every Day. Sarah McCarthy. Golden Toilet Brush. We got Jody Used Items and Rusty Shackle. Shout out to HP Motor Cars and Smoked. Not Smoked, but Zamoked. Yes, I am watching EEIQ. Just before we go to your boy Joey Opsh, this one is up bigly, and I really do mean bigly. It's off the highs, 1270 high. It was really rocketing up. It came back in. It did a bit of a VWAP dance with around $7. It did breach $7. VWAP is at around 740, 745. Here comes 9, okay? We're getting a bit of a breakout now. We're going to talk about this one because it's in focus, but it's well off the highs. There's some others as well, Joey. But just let's say hello to everybody first. Good morning, brother.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you to Sean and Neil once again for obviously being early. That's what we want. I mean, I think it's really important, the tardiness and everything along those lines. So we'll be sure to be a little bit early, too. We can end the stream 5 minutes.
Oh, that's crazy.
At 1:55. Punctuality is key in the workplace, and they are punctual individuals. All right, guys, enough is enough. Let's get right into things. That's the word I was looking for, MF. Dangerous, punctual, and it took me a while. And I was planning on saying that for a while. All right, aside from that, guys, let's see what we got going on. T-triple-Qs, guys. Just testing out some hotkeys over here. We get this pre-market. We're involved in the pre-market. Boom, we get this move. It comes down, so what? Big deal, right? But this is the move that we're talking about right now. Boom, 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 all the way to the top side. And it's just like, think about it. I'm going long, Katina Man's going short. So you can make money going long and short. It doesn't matter. You want to be patient. You want to wait for those levels to come into play. And that's what both of us did here, essentially. So a nice long off of here on the TQs up here, and then we get stopped out about 20%. Remaining. Moving forward, props up to that one. Who's he still here? Bang. Yeah, there he goes, Katina Man. Nice work. Now, it's been absolutely scalp city here on NVDL for the boy. Long here, boom, we take a little bit off, comes back, stopped out, break even, no problem. We're going counter trend here, so we have to be prepared to get out at the break even. We try it one more time, take some more off, break even, cool. Well, guess what they say? Third time is always a charm, all right? And I don't know, I don't have 3 kids, but to people who do, or is the third child the favorite, or is it the middle child? I don't know. It's the third.
Coming in hot.
Third.
Okay,
so the third time is the charm. Shout out to the superstar. Yeah.
She's
Shout
a
out to the
girl as well,
superstar
of course.
Gia. But guys, third time worked really well for us here. We're going to wait for 72.80s before we take anything else off. I don't have much left. I think a little bit less than 20% on this one, but 72.16 is our entry. And what do we have on the radar here today? That is going to be the triple Qs, as always, in the corner of our eye: NVDA, Tesla, and Google. See, the thing is, though, I have no issues scalping this thing here and there. Considering, look what we got going on the daily. Relatively weak, right? Bang, there it goes. We take a little bit more off there. We didn't get exactly what we wanted to, but we're not going to complain about it whatsoever. So a nice little uptick there in NVDA, Tesla, and goggles we had on our radar. Bitcoin was ripping at one point, but I just didn't want to get involved with it. I just still think it's relatively weak. There will come a time when it is strong again, and we will be prepared to take advantage of that. Right now, we're going to focus on what we got in the large cap names. Aside from that, guys, what we got going on in the options chain, relatively cool activity, right? We'll pop over before we send it over to my guy, Sharif. He's going to give you the rundown on the tickers that he was looking at. I know Luis is in the chat. Dude, all the way up to $52 or something along those lines. I was trying to long it at 14 or whatever maybe, but a big time squeeze. So a nice move on G, Grow, or whatever you would like to call it. Moving forward. NVDA's options chain. Let's go over to tomorrow's expiration cycle. That is going to be March 27th. Now 180 is where we're going to start to see some size increase. We didn't see that earlier in the week, right? So I think that we can classify that as a ceiling. And what was our high of the day here today and throughout the week? 176 on today and 176 yesterday. 181.27 was yesterday's high. And then now we're trading south of that. Those contracts are worth $16 respectively on the ask and $15 on the bid. So if you're looking to write, that is where you will get a fill is on the bid, brother.
Well said, Joey. I got to shout out our TikTok viewers. Amar, Mobster 33, JC 90, 922. We got Cheer Me Up TX. How about Kendrick Farrow 46? Thank y'all for watching, man. We appreciate you guys, really do. Jose Garcia, Coffee Badger. We got Ann, Talent, C Costa, Katina Man's in the house. X on Explorer, we got IKEA. Shout out to IKEA and Frog. Shout out to all our TikTok viewers. We're doing it freaking live on all the social media or all the streaming sites now. So wherever you guys want to digest us, we are there. We do have a bunch to talk about. We're going to get to that super chat, I promise you, in a second. But for now, we got to go to Adara.
Yeah, headlines on the screen here as well, but basically we just had Steve Witkoff, who is an envoy here for Trump's administration. He said that Iran's basically been rebuffing the U.S.'s attempts to talk, though he also added that they have presented that 15-point action list to Iran, which they believe is the basis of a framework for a peace deal. Back to you.
15-point plan. All right.
Before you get down to business over there, we're getting a lot more requests for Luis to come in here. So
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised at all. But I mean, the people ask, so maybe we can organize something where he comes in one more time a week or something like that.
I don't want to make an appointment on his behalf. If he wants to come on, he's obviously more than welcome to come on. It's up to him,
and I believe that those moves can be made, and we can definitely get something that works out. So we'll inquire about that.
Talk to Brendan, he wrote. Okay, we're going to confirm it with the exec produce, baby. And we're going to make sure Brendan
a week or something
gets the check mark. Yeah, absolutely. Luis, obviously, we'd love to have you on every single day because these small caps are moving every single day. And a lot of people want to hear what you have to say. Let's talk a little bit about ASNS because I haven't taken a look. Pardon me? One, if possible, yeah. Well, no, one, because we are trade now. Yeah, ASNS. Thanks, Katina, man. I appreciate you doing that, though. I appreciate you. ASNS, guys. I don't like this. Sorry, Rusty or Rustum. It had a good day, not yesterday, but the day before. It had that big move at around 9 o'clock. It was a Christmas tree retracement, though. As you can see, let's just go back to what day was that? Tuesday. A big move up, and then it sells all the way back down. In fact, it goes negative on the day. Yesterday, it really didn't do much. It was consolidative. It stayed below 43 pennies, I think, for the majority of the day. Today, it is less actionable, I want to say, today than it was yesterday. The volume is also significantly less. Sorry, guys, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I do apologize. Forgot to throw on the ticker ASNS, the ticker I'm talking about here. It displeases me, at least for an intraday trade. It wouldn't be something that I would get into today. If you're asking for the daily, let's take a quick look at the daily. Yeah, so this is very much, characteristic of these small cap gapper stocks that have down into the right price action with outlying days. You can see those outlying days vis-a-vis the wicks. They typically, as Luis showed us yesterday, they typically close red. Like, look at this monster day back from the 31st of December of 24. I mean, you were trading at the low there at $11.77 and you got to 24. You ended up closing red. So that is normal for these small cap gappers. Nothing unusual there. It's below $1. It's trading below the 50 EMA on the daily. I hate to put it this way, I don't have anything good to say about ASNS from a technical sense. There may be a fantastic trade from a fundamental sense that I have no idea about, but I'm not really qualified to comment on that, so I'm going to forego that. Let's go on to what I have over here. I got to tell you guys, right from the get-go, it is a light day today in the world of small cap gappers. There's not much moving, okay? And what is moving is failing. What does that mean? That means that you need to trade according to the market conditions that absolutely should factor in to the size that you take, the stops that you place, as well as your expectations for profits. They need to be less lofty in a market like this, okay? So that's what we're seeing now. Now, it's not all, doom and gloom. There is this one, EEIQ. This one really started getting going right at 4 a.m., pardon me. The breakout was on right from the get-go, and it didn't do a whole lot of volume initially, but then we started getting about, 500,000, 250,000 shares per 5-minute candle. And this was really early on. I'm not talking about 4 a.m. Then, 9:35 hits, the open. And we start rocketing up because we were basically selling off for the entire pre-market. 9:30 hits, we make that basically high of day, whether you're looking at pre-market high or regular market hours high, it's $12.70. Bit of a Christmas tree retracement, right? We pop up, we pop down, lo and behold though, we seem to be defending that white line. That white line will always be the volume weighted average price on my black charts. And here we are again. We're breaking the downtrend, so we can draw that trend line very clearly. Breaking the downtrend, we have a period of consolidation where we're not selling off anymore. So we know for a fact that buyers and sellers are in equilibrium at that point, but that is changing. Because now here we are making that stair step up, higher lows, higher highs, trying to breach the area high, which I will submit to you is the 11 o'clock area, 11 o'clock high. 912 is the high, and there it goes into 9.25. Here we go. We're holding the 10. We're breaking through 9. We could be at $10 quick as you frickin' like, and we're at 950 now. The squeeze is on, guys. All right, so it's EEIQ. We need to keep an eye out on here, okay? Especially if we get above $10. This could be a big mover. So EEIQ is the one that I want to focus on. I want to see kind of what to expect here by watching the level 2 and the 5-second chart. We want to spot areas of support as well as resistance, right? And I would submit to you on the breakout, they're equally as important, because if I want to get in somewhere, and sometimes, we're too far away from prior bar low, I can't put my stop at prior bar low and have proper risk management. I need to see where the buyers are stepping in on the level 2. So there could be local areas of support that we're looking for here, Joey. So EEIQ, definitely in focus for me, up 250%.
Bang, that's what we want to hear. Bitcoin putting in a new low of the day down to 39.15. Not too good of a look for the ish coin there, man. But aside from that, guys, NVDA. What's up, Fabian? See, Neil said the other day that I'm the only guy that wears a toque inside. Fabian has always got his toque on. You gotta stay cool, man. Stay warm, I should say. But aside from that, guys, we take a little bit. What was that, Katina Man? I love Katina Man, bro. He's so funny. Yeah. So there it is, man. I'm excited for today's lunch, man. We'll get some grading on that one. Aside from that, guys, let's get right back into these markets and see what we got going on. NVDL off to the races, guys. We take a little bit more off. Nice move up there. I did take off 50% at that, and then we just slowly piece out 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. And then we can continue to He said, "Wow, Neil, never don't judge people or whatever. I don't know." All right, anyways, all right, guys, let's continue to move forward and take a look at what we got going on in our scanner, and then we can plug some things into the options chain and see what the derivatives market is telling us here today. If we're going to continue to climb these volatility spikes. Love them or hate them. Sometimes they're a good time, right? And sometimes they're an absolute horrible time. So today, we're fortunate enough to have them working in our favor, and that's what we want to continue to see. Now, as for Robinhood, to the downside, this thing has been getting absolutely slacked. We said we don't think that we're going to go above 180. Well, we're 10 points away from that, and it's not good luck. So that's over 10% right there. K-Web, how are you doing? How you doing over there? Isn't that what Joey from Friends says all the time?
How you doing?
Yeah, how are you doing? All right, shout out Joey. But anyway, that's the show. Another show, I will correlate that with Seinfeld. Never really liked it. I don't want to go down that one. That road trip. I got to go over Enphase here first before I catch any heat in the chat. What are some of the airlines up to today? A lot of chop going on. Make sure you position yourself relatively well. Ooh, this is a big volume print on Bitcoin. There might be a potential long here, guys. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on the coin just in case we get somewhat of a bounce moving forward. Let's take a look at the options chain. I'm not looking at the chat now because they're probably mad at me about what I said about Friends and Seinfeld. Now, $41 supply zone, but where's that first kind of level that we're going to be looking at? That's going to be $40, and then 40.50. You can see the congestion within here, so that can say, hey, unless we have an aggressive buyer, they might have some difficulties, the participants involved with it, absorbing all of that. A little bit more off here on NVDA, and we're only sitting on about 7.5%. My eyes are on Bitcoin. Why? Because we have this massive volume candle about to kick in. USO, that was a dark pool print to the individual who was asking me. Cool was asking me about that. But let's head over to IBIT and see what we got going on. Is it correlating? Is the volume and price analysis? That's exactly what we want to see. There might be a good opportunity for a potential long here on BTC via IBIT.
All right, man, cool. Getting long here, EEIQ, looking for the hold of 9. In at 929, currently showing me 30s. There's a seller, I want to say high 20s, low 30s. It's undecided right now. It's consolidative. If I had to choose, I'm seeing marginally lower highs. I'm also seeing a defend of 9. Current bar low on the 5 is 905. Shout out to the area code if you're from Toronto, you know. By the way, yeah, you have that number too. I was like, who's calling me from Newmarket, bro? And
that would be me, my boy.
No, I didn't know, bro. I didn't know. Right? Like, I was like, what is this
How long
guy?
have you had your phone number?
2014. I've had it.
Not even that long,
a really long dated one from before that, but I had to get rid of it for
other.
Yeah. All right.
Tell us without telling us, my boy.
All right, continuing to watch EEIQ in at 29. It doesn't look like it's going to break out. It's still in this consolidative range. I don't know how to square this circle right now. It is very consolidative on the 5-second chart. I'm looking for a hold of 9. I've put my stop, I think, strategically. Right there it goes. So we're out. So 0 for 2 already on this one. This one's losing trend. Let's see if it breaks prior bar low. I don't want to give it to prior bar quite yet. If it comes in a little bit lower, then I could get in, but we're 0 for 2 already on EEIQ. If it makes a lower low, excuse me. So if it breaches the bar, the 1110 bar, the low of which is 831, this could be a short, because then that would be that pattern that we were talking about where it makes an attempt to reclaim, you know, the high of the day, or at least try, but then it ends up making a lower high, and then we end up breaching prior area low. So now I'm on alert for that. If it changes its tune and it gets back, you know, and starts wanting to take out 9.5, especially 9.5, 960, I'll get back in as a long. But I'm going to look at it both ways here. I don't think this one is going to be probably easy to borrow for a lot of people. I'm seeing it on my platform here. There's no shorts available, but obviously with the firm, with our prop floor here, there definitely is. So I'll make that decision as I need to. I don't need to do it right away. So continuing to watch here, EEIQ, can't seem to get a read on this one. While I'm waiting for that one to kind of develop, I want to tell you about this one as well. BZAI is making a move. It's not the aggressive mover that EEIQ is, but it's pretty close to the high of the day. In fact, it's about 3 pennies offset high, and it's got a good-looking chart pattern. But you got to remember, this one kind of gave back the entire move that it made in the aftermarket on Tuesday, gives it back on Wednesday, and here we are right back into that consolidative range that basically spanned the aftermarket on Tuesday and the pre-market on Wednesday, and we're right there, kind of right in the middle of that consolidative range at $1.60. BZAI is the one I'm talking about, or for my American friends, BZAI. It's up 26 2/3%, give or take. So that's what I'm kind of keeping an eye out on there. You guys are mentioning some other ones. I'm just trying to keep my eye on EEIQ for a sec, just because it is holding up above prior bar, and I need to kind of execute on this one. So Joe, I'm going to send it to you.
Absolutely.
While I set up on this.
Well, we have a $2 super chat right now from our boy Greg Trail. $2.
Am I long?
Don't like pie or Seinfeld, bruh. I don't like. I just never had it, man. Waiting for Katina Man to bring me some peach pie. Honestly, I told you guys the story a long time ago. It's just that my friend I'd always go over to his house, and he'd have the DVD set of Seinfeld, and then like fall asleep. But it's the transition music. I would just hear it for hours, and it just drove me nuts. And I'm like, I don't like this. Anyways, aside from that, guys, a nice little pop here. But this candle didn't close how I wanted it to on the 5-minute with IBIT. 1 minute is phenomenal. Now let's see if we can form a base. It may take a little bit of time for it to turn around. And if we can form this consolidative base and have that floor without any further wicks to the downside, then maybe we can find something. But this could also mean, hey, we're just dumping shares right now, and we don't really want to get involved. 5-minute and higher time frame telling us that this could just be a breath, not necessarily a complete reversal. But there goes NVDA, a nice recovery. We had these trend lines drawn in it earlier. And now let's see if we can go back and retest it. We're almost there now, but we'll be a little bit more patient. And there it goes, 92. We'll take that one. So I don't have very many shares left, to be honest with you. So we'll piece a little bit more out, and then we'll leave some for potentially a test of the volume weighted average price. All right, so bang, there it is on NVDA. Oh, I should have held the full size. No, Neil, I don't, unfortunately, brother. Sorry. I just don't find it funny. I just don't think it's a funny show whatsoever. I like dry humor. To all my friends out in England and the UK, people just do nothing, absolutely hilarious. Dry humor, hilarious. But when you're trying to be funny, I just don't necessarily like it. Data Robinson, Joseph, own it. He loves the market. And dude, I don't know. Yeah, Milo is, I never loved anything like this. He's just like a little life form, man. He didn't ask me to be his parent or anything along those lines. So, yeah, that is my guy and definitely one of my best friends for sure. Love going out and playing with him. He's crazy now, these days. We got to take him to the vet and get him neutered there because he's just like, he's jumping at the door. He wants to fight all the time now. I'm like, bro, don't forget, you're only 10 pounds here now, you know what I mean? But aside from that, here it is, NVDL, a nice little uptick. Once again, we tried this on multiple attempts, got out when exactly we were supposed to, and then that gave us the opportunity to really start to hammer it down here and then go for a little bit of a ride on this trend. So that was a good one. And the same thing with TQs. At this point, we put in some bottoming signals. We broke through that support level, and then we started to turn around, and the momentum slightly upticked. And then that's when I was like, all right, before I play the volume-weighted average price break, let's get involved. And to be honest with you, I was waiting for a pullback into VWAP and something close to my prior entry for me to just absolutely hammer the shares, but I never got that. And these volatility spikes, I wasn't willing to kind of punch, and they were relatively quick too, so it wasn't as easy, and I wasn't too quick on the trigger to really, really get involved. So that's what I got going on. Eyes are still on Bitcoin. We are slowly starting to form that base, so maybe we'll put on a little something to see if we can get a move higher in BTC.
All right, still holding here, EEIQ. It's doing the dance at around 9, but it is putting in lower highs. So it is trouble here. It's putting in lower highs on the 5-second chart. That's what I'm keeping my eye on, the top screen. Area low is the prior bar, obviously, which is 860. We're putting in some higher lows, but we're also putting in lower highs. If I had to really choose, I think that the lower highs are a lot more, there's a lot more emphasis on the lower highs than the higher lows. Here it comes down into 875, gets bought up quite aggressively at the $0.75. It hasn't breached prior bar high, but it also hasn't breached prior bar low. There it is back into 9. If it doesn't clear, I want to say 906, this could be trouble because that's a prior area high. Now it clears it. Let's see if it can kind of continue into 9.25. There's a seller at 7, and down we go again on the bid anyway, at least below 9. So it is not putting in those higher highs aggressively back up into 910. There's 27. Let's see if we can continue. That flashed and didn't hang out for any prolonged period of time. We have a new 5-minute bar that opened. We'll get to that when we get back from Madeira.
Yeah, President Trump going after Jerome Powell. He's been doing so for like the last 3 minutes, and I held off because it wasn't super significant, but he said enough things now that I think it's worth mentioning. Basically, President Trump saying that, implying that Powell should be sued for what he's done to the Federal Reserve building and how he's taking a beautiful building, and where will Kevin Warsh sit because there are no walls. So he's very concerned about the placement of probably incoming, or at least very much nominated Fed chair here, Kevin Warsh. Again, just lots of comments here from Mr. Too Late, as Trump calls him and called him again today. Jerome Powell, back to you.
Big seller at 30. Big seller at 30. We can't shake the seller at 30. 28, 29, doesn't matter, but 30 doesn't print. There it is, into 40. We're holding shares here, guys. Let's go. Let's see if we can get a little bit more positive on it now. Let's de-risk a little bit over here. Let's continue to watch. Big move up here, Joey. We're holding shares. Yes, boom. And more freaking boom. All right, there we go. Let's print out a little bit more. Let's see what we can get here. We won't get upset. Shout out to my man Neil. Can we get continuation? Their answer is no. Back down into 43. We've got 97s. What a move back down, though. Jeez Louise. No continuation. Anything below 9 ends the trade for me. There's 9. We're going to stop out there. Dang, man. Could have had a little bit more at the top. Should have been using my hotkeys. Continue to watch. What an ugly topping tail candle. Prior bar low, 875. Current bar low, 894 on the dot. Let's see if we can get in a little bit more. Let's look for a defend of 9. So that actually bounced off 9 pretty well and is moving right back up. Sending it back to you, bro.
Absolutely good stuff. Mr. Gray, it's so funny. Your buddy sells his van to multiple people, and he's like, yeah, the first person to get here gets the van. But it's funny, so we can go over to Japan.
I love that one. That's a Seinfeld episode, too.
So what, he just sells it to multiple people, and then the first individual who actually shows up to get it gets it?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Yeah.
There was like a van story.
Bro, there's this guy from, anyways, this character, he's absolutely hilarious. He's a manager of this radio station, and he lives in his van and stuff, and then for him to travel somewhere else, he has to sell the van, and he sells it to multiple people, and then he's like, yeah, the first people to show up get the van, but he's leaving with all the money. It's absolutely hilarious. Aside from that, guys, nice curl over in Bitcoin, only giving you a couple of pennies, but we're still not north of this signal right here. So a retest, a little bit more of a base, then I think we can engage to the long side for a pullback. I'm not saying we're going to completely recover here on the day, but at the end of it, who knows? Anything can happen at any given moment, and especially throughout the session. Another scam. That's crazy, Tony. That's crazy, man. Trust me, I'm a straight shooter. You would do the exact same. But aside from that, guys, let's take a look. We'll head over to our watch list and see what the larger participants and some other names are up to here today. NVDA, we've gone over on multiple occasions. Apple, relatively strong. Nice inverted hammer candle right at the highs, though. Breaks through that low, and then it gives you another point or so south of that support level. So keep an eye out on that one. Moving forward, Amazon was pretty strong here today. I don't know if this is actually the genuine volume weighted average price, but I don't think it is. For some reason, it miscalculates a little bit, so maybe we'll go back here and see what we got going on or go to a different time frame. But bouncing off of that level, and let's see, if you fail to construct a new high, maybe you'll get a little bit of a curl over and then a breach of that support system and a continuation to the downside. A lot of things can happen. You just kind of got to figure out a bunch of scenarios in your head and try to execute on them. Meta was getting slacked, as Sharif was telling me here this morning, opening up
it is
around
5 2/3.
Yeah.
We were talking about this at 4 1/4. Does this thing stop selling?
I don't know. Let's see what.
I'm so happy I got the hell out of there, man. What a disaster. This thing was at 750,
26%.
like right after the earnings report.
26% off of its previous pivot high over here. There goes Bitcoin still climbing higher. So yeah, we're gonna have to look for another opportunity here. But other than that, if we want to classify it, I only have one L on the day, and that's gonna be on NVDL, and I took a little bit off anyway, so it's small potatoes. And then after that, we go 3 for 3 on Scalp City here on the TQQs, and then the actual big winner here for us was going to be this one here, and then we get stopped out 20% break even on the TQQs. Katina Man short all the way through this and continuously holding on to that. So not too bad of a look whatsoever. SMR down to $11. Oh my Lanta. Yeah, that's not a good look whatsoever in New Scale Power. CrowdStrike down 391 daily. It didn't hold that trend that we were talking about it being breached not too long ago. And then sure enough, you get that pullback. Can we slowly start to recover? I hope so. How's Netflix been doing? Shreve and I were talking about this one. Big time gap up. I mean, you're looking at 25% or so from the lows all the way to this pivot here at $100, and then sure enough, boom, you start to slide in a little bit here. But maybe you get some of this gap fill. I think that's going to be the narrative, and then hopefully we can continue to the northeast with that trend on Netflix.
All right, man. I think Luis would say that EEIQ is price non-compliant. Isn't that the term you used yesterday? Not compliant with price or something like that. This thing is all over the freaking map, man. It's not finding a very clear area. I mean, aside from $9, which it doesn't really hold on a strict basis, it's all over the map. There is a kind of a trend of higher lows here. Kind of hard to know when the prior area low is going to get breached because it's been breached multiple times. So I'm not really sure how to work my way in. It is holding the 10 EMA, so I can kind of look at the 10 EMA as my backstop. But we are a little bit extended. So 10 EMA on the 5 right now is showing, I want to say, high mid-80s. And here comes 950 again. We rejected prior area at 957. So current area high is not 957, it is 954. So we definitely have selling around that $0.50 area that we can't shake. That's multiple times now. Even the area where I got long and printed up here, it got to 970. Now it's been putting in higher lows since that time. So that could be a good thing, obviously, because it's that 950 to 970 range that's resistance. Let's see if I can work in with smaller share size over here. And here it goes into 960, but watch for a retracement. There's 970, 980, so the breakout's on. Let's see if it drops back in. If it drops back in, I'll pick it up. We're going to Adair.
Yeah, we're going to do crypto right now. I also just want to mention President Trump just said, quote, we have a moron at the Fed. He is still talking about Fed Chair Powell. He has been doing so like for the last 10 minutes, and also Sharpie pens. So this is still happening here at President Trump's cabinet meeting. And again, I said usually how this works is the cabinet members will talk a lot more. He has spoken at length throughout this entire meeting, even when his cabinet members get a couple of minutes to speak. So I'm just letting you know, like, this is a very Trump-heavy cabinet meeting. Be careful. Though, again, oil has not been mentioned in, like, many moons. Let's talk here about BTC, though. Bitcoin is pulling back here quite sharply on this daily chart. We're talking about that, or Sharif mentioned a couple days ago, that 68,000 to 72,000 range on BTC. Very much still trading within it, currently around 69K. So we're at now Tuesday's lows. But it's worth noting, if you look at this daily chart, going back to that drop we had now, it's crazy, like 2 months ago, February 6th, all the way down to just below 60K. We've had higher lows since then on the daily chart. If we break below that level on Monday, that 67,000 halves, that will be a new low here, at least on a relative basis, a lower low here on Bitcoin. So let's see what happens there. President Trump also saying, quote, who wouldn't be lowering interest rates right now? And quote, Kevin Warsh told me the Fed ripped down a beautiful building. Here's Ethereum, though, on the daily. We spoke about those lower lows. ETH basically coming into them. 2022 is that Monday low right now, 2063. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much for that, Adair. Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about the Sharpie talk, because even Ramin's like he's been going on about it for quite some time. Guys, I agree with you there, Jay Lee, in some ways. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not just going to end. It's going to take a while regardless, and the chances of it coming to a complete halt are, in my opinion anyways, relatively slim. But the better the things cool down, then obviously at the pumps as well. We're hearing in California, it's just getting absolutely ridiculous. 210 493. That's probably an uptick as well, so hopefully I don't have to go to the pump anytime soon. Aside from that, guys, let's continuously move forward and see what we got going in the market. If there's anything that you want to go over, put it in the chat. Make sure you guys don't forget to vote either. Put those tickers that you want to talk about. We can go over a couple of names here now because we're just sitting in some positions waiting for some more pullbacks for opportunities to add. But again, like my first couple of entries on NVDA, we have to be prepared to get out relatively quick if they're not going to work in our favor, just like that. Adara.
Yeah, we do have Scott Bessent making some comments here on Iran. He's basically saying that Iran is upset here about a choke point that, quote, does not exist. Unclear what he's referring to. I mean, the choke point that we've been referring to a lot has been the Strait of Hormuz. So if we get more details on that comment, I'll let you know. But the other thing he said was that Iran is underestimating Americans' ability to hold through volatility in exchange for bringing down Iran. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But again, Bessent saying, and here's the exact quote here, quote, "We will overcome what Iran thinks is a choke point." I'm guessing he's referring to the Strait of Hormuz here. Also, Israeli military saying one of their divisions has been deployed to southern Lebanon. Just more conflict, unfortunately, here in the Middle East. Back to you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, let's go over and see what the IWM's up to here. I see a couple of people mentioning that, and we don't often look at it. So we'll see what the Rus 2000 is up to. Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, it's so tough to tell, but if we're going to go through and look at the SPY and the NASDAQ, I would have to say that you might see a little bit more of a pullback. If you think about it from where we're currently trading at to where the previous pivot was, 7%, 11% at the lows. It was getting slack for quite some time, but at the end of the day, that's not bad whatsoever. And it's the same thing with the SPY. I like what our guest had to say this morning. It's like we're not down a substantial amount, 6%, and we have some of the other larger names that are down significantly more. Microsoft is down 30%. You have Apple off of the highs as well, too. You have NVDA still off of the highs. So, I mean, there could be some more room for us to slowly slide. And I think that's going to be the narrative. As we start to form a support level, it's just a matter of time. I thought we would continue northeast, but that doesn't seem to be the case, right? So 172, I think it's one negative catalyst away from a potential break, but I do believe that this name can climb substantially after it's done absorbing enough liquidity.
Not a good trade. All right, moving on. Let's, AIFF is moving. Let's keep an eye out on that. Into 7, I believe, 2.25. Not a bad look there. Up close to 250 is the area high, 253, I think it is. VWAP at around 220. Lots of support at around there. Here comes 240. I would say probably a lot of wicks between 240 and 250. And here it comes breaking into the high, 248, give or take. Not a bad look, not a bad look. So AIFF could be one to keep an eye on. Also mentioned BZAI, this one right into the high of the day at 161. Good look on that one. That looks like a bull flag continuation. What's his name? Bovin saying FATN is making a move. Let's have a look at FATN. I'm going to take off UGRO. I'm not sure why it's loading it up there. FATN, yeah, making a move back into the high as well, right around 250. I'd like for that to clear 250 first before I get involved, but we'll keep an eye out on those, and we're going to go up to Adara.
Yeah, just be aware here. We had Scott Bessent, U.S. Treasury Secretary, making some comments on oil. Our Treasury Secretary Bessent, sorry, not the oil, the U.S. dollar. Treasury Secretary Bessent saying that the dollar is appreciated and capital is flowing in. That's because the dollar is now a safe haven during the conflict. So basically, Bessent saying that U.S. dollar has benefited from this conflict here in the Middle East. Back to you.
Yeah, interesting. All right, continuing to watch AIFF. That one looks like it's making a move right into 250 again. So let's load up AIFF. Into 249. You're seeing selling at around 249 over here. I think if we can clear 250 quite decisively, this could be a nice breakout. It's got a lot of respect at the volume weighted average price. Where it held up for the most part. There were a couple of wicks below VWAP, but, you know, I would say the majority of the prints closed above VWAP. And here we are again, though. I don't think we've really decisively taken out 250 at any point. just wicked into it. So I'd like to see what kind of selling we get at these levels, 48, 49. They're selling at all of them right now. It's up 47%, so it'll be on a lot of people's radars. A lot of volume as well is taking place, about 62.3 million shares. And here we are into 49, haven't quite made it up into 50, at least on this 5-minute candle. So I'll be watching this one for a good move up. But Bovin brought us FATN. FATN looking good as well. Put this one on. This is on the NQ. There's 250. Good look, Bovin. This could squeeze into 273, quick as you like. Keep your eye on that. LNAI, I didn't chart today, Gavin, because it really kind of sold off from the open onwards, essentially. Yeah, okay, it's making a move back. When I was looking at this, when we were starting the chart, it was around down here. In any event, coming back into about 73. I'd personally be looking for a short, Gavin, off that volume weighted average price at around 73, 72, really wherever VWAP is at the time. Sometimes when you get these kind of retracements, they retrace back into VWAP. Think about this, right? So if you're short at the top, right? If you're, say you shorted up here, some people would cover at VWAP, kind of the same thing, right? If you're long down here, you found a bit of a base at 50 pennies, 52 pennies, you're likely going to sell at VWAP as well, like the shorts who will also get in short at VWAP. So you have a double whammy. You have the longs from 50 pennies covering at around 73, which is VWAP, and then you'll also have the shorts who will earmark that as their entry. So you'll get a lot of selling at this volume weighted average price, at least from my observation. This is the chart, on LNAI. Just a little disappointed with myself how I traded EIQ, but that's neither here nor there. So yeah, I would definitely be looking for a short in and around there, Joey.
All right, good look there. Listening to Trump talk about Germany, and he's not too happy with that. Moving forward, let's take a look at NVDA as we start to climb higher. A nice pullback in Bitcoin. We didn't engage at that 39 hold. Then you get a couple pennies north of that. It's holding up on a key pivot level right now around 39.15. So we'll be sure to keep an eye on it. Here is NVDA. I think, oh, nice pop up. I don't have much. Let's see if we can get a move up into 73.30s as a volatility spike steps in. I don't see it reflecting in the overall market here right now, so maybe it's just on this stock alone, but that's okay. We'll take it. This trend line is now breached, right? So here it is, a hold of that. Have a 5-minute candle on the backside of that trend, and it looks like we can continue a little bit higher here, guys. So not too bad of a look. If this closes inverted, I'll take a little bit more off and then just leave what I have on the 2.5%, 5% or whatever it may be as a runner to a higher level. So nice print. May as well. Oh, I have nothing left. Okay, so one out left there. We'll take it at a new high, 72.98. We're long from 72.16s. A good bottom pick. Los Polios, what's going on, brother? What's going on, brother? Where's Gorev today? I meant to tag him on the IBIT trade, but good thing that we didn't take anything there because it is pulling back aggressively and it looks like it wants to head a little bit lower. So this thing may take some more time to turn around, and I'm more than happy to wait and be patient for that opportunity because the volume stepped in, but it also could just be a larger participant releasing a substantial amount of shares. On this volume print around alone, there's multiple millions of shares coming through in a 1-minute span, so that's quite a bit. Yesterday, I was red leading into the end of the day around 3:30, and then I was just taking heavy scalps, and we were fortunate enough to turn things around and be green at the end of the day. In the same narrative here, it's been a pretty good one. I didn't start, well, we started a little red, but then NASDAQ after was definitely a good one, but then NVIDIA being one of the leaders here for us today. So, Lost Brothers, brother, I'm in Palantir long from 149. Yeah, let's take a look at Palantir and see how it's been performing on today's session. Is there a leveraged ETF for Palantir, like PLTZ or something?
There's plenty, yeah.
There's plenty, like PLTZ, right?
I don't remember them by heart, but I'm sure chat or something can probably give you an exhaustive list of them.
PLTZ is I think this might be it. $28 daily target Defiance daily target 2x ETF. Is this one?
I'll get it for you, don't worry.
Yeah, I
Just
appreciate
keep
that.
going, I'll get it.
Yeah, Palantir. Okay. But yeah, this thing's been strong. Nice grab. If you can break this trend, then I think you can have the opportunity to climb a little bit higher and then maybe breach this previous pivot. NVDA is really off to the races right now, and we're thankful for that one. PLTU, that's it. PLTU. Is that 2x or 3x? Yeah, it's
PLTU.
2x.
There, you want PLT3 if you want 3x.
PLT3, can you even do that?
Look at it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even know you could throw.
PLT3.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
You might have some liquidity issues on that.
PLTR 3x. This thing's $800.
Well, yeah, you probably don't want that.
Yeah, we don't want that one. PLTU, maybe we'll take a look at that one, but still not overly liquid. PLT3 there's no liquidity essentially on that one, so not too bad of a look. Nice work there, Los Pollos. Gorv, if you're in the chat, message me PLTU. Yeah, thank you everyone. But a nice move there. Too bad we took 20% off at this initial pop at a 1-to-1, essentially a little bit less, and then boom, 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 we go off to the races. So not too bad of a look. If you're rolling, you just got to keep that ball rolling and take those opportunities. Even if you take small hits, and find that quality chance, that means you're in sync with the market, in my opinion, and you have to continue. That's something that I've worked on for quite some time. Instead of, there's times in the day where it's like, okay, you take your money and run, but when you've had a little bit more of a rough stretch, like I did myself in the beginning of March, and I'm having a day where you go 4 for 5 or something like that, I got to keep pushing that level and keep pushing until the point where it's like, hey, I'm willing to risk X amount of my realized, and then at that point I'm done. It's either I double it up or by all means we finish still positive on the day.
AIFF is going, guys, up 52 1/3%. Now it's taken out the $0.50 on its way into the high 259, showing 56s. There was a lot of resistance at 50 pennies. I want to say even that breakout initially in the pre-market at around 745, the high of which was 240, sorry, pardon me. So it didn't quite make it up to the $0.50. Then you had a bunch of different prints, I want to say, from 9:30 to about 10:10, all of which rejected 250. You come back into VWAP, you hold VWAP clean, and here we are again into the high. We're like a couple of pennies away, or a penny away. There it is, the day high, 260. So the breakout's on right now for Firefly Neurosciences, a former sponsor of the show, and it's a great look for their company. Into 60 here, 63. The breakout's on, guys. Let's find out exactly what kind of short float we're working with on Firefly. Let's check with Perplexity. Let's see what we got over here. Short flow for AIFF. Let's see what we got. Obviously, this will be a little bit dated. Typically, it's about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more older. About 10 to 15% of the public float is sold short. How old is that data? Doesn't quite say. Okay. AIFF short float is about 13.5% as of mid-March 2026. So that's pretty good. So 13.5% short float into 263. There's a really good chance that we get into $3 here, especially if we can take out that 65 penny area. I see the super chat. We're going to check out VSA as soon as we get back from Madeira.
USO dropping here as President Trump, when asked, when will you be resuming these attacks? We know they have that 5-day pause. He said, oh, do you mean when are we going to do some real damage? We're still doing talks. We have very substantial talks. So President Trump not giving a date for when they might resume, or at least consider resuming these strikes here on power plants in Iran. Market seems to like that. USO does not seem to like that. So again, President Trump saying once again, quote, very substantial talks going on with Iran. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. Let's go and have a look at VSA. Thank you very much as well for the $10 super chat. Check out VSA. Let's have a look. Yeah, nice breakout there. Are we light on vol here? What are we doing here in terms of 3.47 million shares on an 81 penny name? I've seen better, but not bad. The technicals don't look all that bad. It definitely looks like it's respecting the 10 EMA generally here on the 5-minute chart. Let's throw in the ticker. So we breached prior bar high, which was the 11:15 bar. You could see we were doing almost no volume until about 11:10, but the volume is pretty decent here. This initial volume bar, about 103,000 shares. This one has about 287,000. The current area that we're on, 288,000 shares. So it's not exactly a volume leader, but not bad. Vision SYS, $1.75 million market cap, guys, moving crazy. We're going back to Adara.
A couple days ago, President Trump teased a gift that Iran had given them. He said what it was 8 boats of oil. So President Trump saying that 8 boats of oil have been allowed to sail by Iran. That was the gift that Iran gave them, according to him. Back to you.
Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff.
Very.
What's your look?
There was a volatility spike in the market just before we went to Adara. The NASDAQ climbed a little bit higher. We had that tap into VWAP here, and you got a spike in IBIT, and then Tesla also getting a little bit of a volume pump there, guys, as well, too. So not too bad of a look. Be cautious. If you're not positioned relatively well, this chop will drive you nuts, and it did it to me earlier in the month. But if you get yourself in the right place at the right time, then sure enough, you'll have a little bit better of a chance in risk to reward ratios within the trading. So I can take this all out. We're just below VWAP. Market full recovery at this point. I mean, well, not full recovery, but a move back into VWAP, but more or less. So that's going to be my narrative. If we break this pivot, I think there could be some more upside. What we want to do is essentially hold VWAP, and then maybe you can get that continuation. But what I'm seeing from the daily, it doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to get that today. So yeah, moving forward, let's take a look at the options chain. How Bitcoin, we went over Bitcoin, we went over NVDA. Let's take a look at Tesla and see what we have on that front. We can construct a couple things as well, especially with SMCI. So we'll go over that here right after we take a look at the expiration cycle here on Tesla, because we talked about the implied volatility over the past couple of sessions, obviously with the DOJ probe. So it's going to be interesting. And for the individual who said, Joe, you want to face me in an options competition, by all means, I don't know how that would work, but you know I'm game. And I don't understand why you would want to lose. I don't get that point there, Sharif. No, I'm obviously being sarcastic, but I'm not. But anyways, 390, 17,300 contracts right at that specific level. SMCI. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay. So yeah, 101%. We were looking at that around 153% a couple of days. So you're already starting to see that cool down. I was talking with Chris, one of the campus managers this morning. He's like, yeah, we were trading some SMCI. Be cautious. It's not always the cleanest price action. You can see you're down 6% here, 6 3/4. So it's a tougher look. Why? The implied volatility is in, so you're going to have more of that fluctuation within the actual intraday price action. And you have to be cautious with that, willing to get in at precise entries and be prepared that it's going to come a little bit against you before it really starts working, and that can take multiple attempts, Sharif.
Yeah, just hold on a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So SMCI 101%. 153 a couple of days ago, a nice curl over in Bitcoin, so that VPA signal really coming into play. And see, the thing is, with the algorithm that I built, it eliminates the subjectivity of things. So I didn't take this trade, but it would have no issues with taking this trade on the 1 minute time frame, right? Because it's like, hey, why aren't you taking it when you have multiple signals confirming it? So you just have to pull the trigger on those things. Gaurav, I'll give you credit for that. You're in a lot of positions. Inverted hammer candle right here on NVDA on that one. Let's take a look at our watch list. We'll go over a couple more names before Sharif re-tapping in there. Watch list. BBAI, $3.45. Katina, man. Ooh, putting in a new low. That's not too. Yeah, I know. Same, man. But we had Walmart. Katina, man, up 11% at one point from the point of entry, but it's been absolutely getting destroyed. So we'll head over to our portfolio tracker. Chat, you guys are in dead last, man. When I say it sucks to suck, sometimes it does. Obviously, only messing around with you guys. But yeah, you don't want to be in last, man, because you know what Ricky Bobby's dad once said. If you're not, he said, if you're not first, you're last, Sharif. So there's only one way, 3.8%. And then sure enough, 15% to the downside on CrowdStrike. Sharif holding on to that fourth spot. Randy in that third spot with ExxonMobil up 32%. Would Ramin fall down to that sixth slot once again. ASTS being an absolute monster for her in that one. But Sean hitting on that 8th spot. Eli Lilly down 16%, brother. But Marvell up 20%, that's good. Marvell, tell us how you really feel about Marvell, Katina, man.
I think it glanced at 100 today, which is not that bad.
Yeah, he's happy about Marvell. And you drive a Tesla, right? So you're not at the gas pumps or anything? There we go. So 14%.
When's the last time you went to the gas station? Well, he has another car.
You have the Volkswagen, no? Right on.
Das Opto. Hey, Max. What's going on there, Max?
We got to get the electric Lamborghini up there.
Katina Man's waiting for the Rivian R2 to come out. Katina Man, you might want to mosey on over to Yorkdale Mall. There's a new, well, at least last time I went, there was a new, what's it called, Rivian store opening up at Yorkdale Mall. That puts them with Tesla, Lucid, and VinFast. So now there's 4 different car dealerships at this mall. I don't think it's a bad idea, man. I mean, especially if you're trying to get it out and make it like a very, you know, to the public so they can all see electric cars where maybe some of them have some reservations.
Obi in the chat.
Obi's in the chat?
Obi's in the chat. Will you trade today, Obi?
Oh, boy.
Would you trade? Would you trade today, Obi?
Oh, what were you on today, brother?
You know when he's in the chat, oh boy.
I hope he took Meta short. He'd be 6% in the money right now. All right, Adair, what's up?
Only BL.
President Trump earlier, when I say earlier today, I mean like within the last hour, said that he did not believe there were any mines in the Strait of Hormuz. Now he's saying we don't know if they dropped any mines in the Strait of Hormuz, but there could be a few, and if so, that's a lot. So again, President Trump here really back and forth as to whether or not he believes there are mines within the Strait of Hormuz. Oil kind of trying to figure out how it feels about this story, guys. Back to you.
Interesting look, Joey.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, continuing to watch AIFF over here. Let's see if it holds up above that 240 area. Hammer candle, bottoming tail into the 10 EMA. It's a 263 high. It's been quite respectful of the 10 EMA on the 5, but it's below prior bar high. Prior bar high rejects that 50 penny area. So yet again, we have a seller at around the $0.50 with 263. So keep your eye, 263 as a high, pardon me. Volume weighted average price, 2.25, but I perceive there to be a bit of support, initially resistance in the mid 40s, right? Because all the closing prints were in and around that mid 40s on the 5. Let's see if we can breach prior bar high. If we breach prior bar low, that will probably be also a breach of the 10 EMA, and that may be, maybe heading down a little bit deeper than that. So keep your eye out on that. Obi says he's stalking Meta, which I like. Obi, it's down 0.25% more since we mentioned it. It was down 6, now it's down 6.25. So Meta cannot catch a bid if it's life dependent. Let's look at the chart on Meta over here, man. This is getting really, really ugly for Meta. What's the low, man? What's the low? 556 on the dot. Let's look at the daily here on Meta. Oh my days. Okay, so we took down the fall lows. We breached the fall low, man. So that was, I believe, 580. That area low that we put it in the fall, that's when we sold off aggressively, and that's where we were buying this. And then look, we make that price spike up into almost 750. And now since that earnings report, we are down more than 20%. So in bear market territory again, well off the highs, all-time highs. That is about 30% off all-time highs. So Joe, if we've lost that to, I would say, in my opinion, we've lost that 580 level from mid to late November. Now we're looking at 550. If we don't hold up at 550, we're looking at the tariff tantrum lows, and that takes us into 500 to 475. So, yeah, Meta's certainly seen better days, and, let's just be honest. When it dropped over here, I thought this was a buying opportunity. It was this over here. This was October area. We did pick it up. I had to aggressively DCA to get back in the money. We held this one until it popped off into the earnings report. I got to tell you the truth. I didn't sell everything into the earnings report at all. I in fact held, and then we got out once that 670 shelf broke, because it was an obvious area of resistance that we couldn't clear after the move down. Then when we lost it, I was like, well, that's pretty much the end of the trade there. So, and I'm happy with that exit. Definitely could have made more on that, but Meta is not looking good here, Joe.
No, it's not. And I'm just trying to think, like, what could the worst case scenario be? You know, they're going to end up paying fines, structural change. But the way that I'm looking at it is, who's going to dethrone them from essentially being the king of social media in a place where you can post in all this lavish lifestyle? I just don't see it really losing in that space just yet, unless something new and new, that new shiny toy comes out, or a new platform that everybody's obsessed with. So I know TikTok definitely grabbed market share, but I still think Instagram is the king, because I think so many people use it. How many daily and monthly active users
Can
it has.
I say something though? Like Instagram, like as much as I do use it, I'm not trying to pretend like I don't use it because I do. But it feels like at least the friends, the real friends that I have on there are posting far, far less other than stories. Not just in regular posts, whether it's reels or posts. Assassino. We have more posts from like people we don't follow. And that's why I was showing you the other day how to look at people you follow. But quite frankly, even the people that I do follow, I feel like are posting less. So it feels like,
rightfully so.
You know, less entertaining to be on. Because quite frankly, I don't really want to see all the stuff that people I don't know
You don't really
doing,
care. You don't really care about that.
I don't really know who they are.
Could we also take into consideration that the fact is that, okay, we were significantly younger when this platform was way more popular, but then people, as you get older, tend to typically want a little more privacy, so you kind of outgrow.
But I'm seeing what my niece and nephew. It's very different from the beginning.
Well, it was hot, right? It was that hot new app, right?
Like I don't have too many people that are like much younger than me as friends. But what I'm just seeing from my family anyway, who are younger, they don't post nearly with the same cadence that we posted at.
I just think that it's like people just want a little bit more privacy. They have their time with it. You need to wait for that new wave of participants to come into play.
Or a new app.
Or new, but that's what I was getting at. Is like, who could that be? Like, what is it? You need something really, really good in order to kind of break that meta, that ecosystem, I guess we can call it. So yeah, interesting.
I just want to mention a couple of things. EEIQ is making another move here, guys. It looks like it found general support at 850, still lower highs off that 975, but trying to make a move above 950 again. That's EEIQ. AIFF kind of dancing here. 3-candle pullback south of 50, holds up at the 10 EMA. Let's see if it can work its way back above 50. But Bovin bringing to my attention RBNE. I don't mind this one too much, Bovin. The problem with this one is it's very consolidative, and it did have a breach of that consolidation area, which was south, be quite honest with you, into 240, and it lost that level. Now, we haven't seen that breach in the opposite direction as a long. We saw it as the breach as a loss of trend. So that's the other look there. FATN was the other one he was showing me, but I got to tell you, the volume is really dropping off. Fat N here, and it's barely holding above VWAP. SVRN, this is the one I wanted to point out. So this one was losing trend quite quickly once I put it on the side chart right at 11. It dropped below VWAP, so I said very little about it, but here it is. It consolidated for, I want to say, an hour, and now we just get a big pop off on that 11.55 candle, taking 27 pennies. It's a 29 1/4, 29 1/3 area high, so that's another one to keep your eye on there. SVRN. BZAI is the other one we've mentioned. This one had a big down day yesterday, recovering a little bit today. But as I mentioned earlier, BZAI takes us into that consolidation range that we had over a number of days, over 2 days. So that is a bit of an issue that I'll keep my eye on there. So Bovin agreeing with me about RBNE. Guys, all right, we're going to send you to Adara for happening now. However, there is no Neil's lesson of the day today. So, sorry, guys. Can't have hotlines dropped every day. Neil will be back, though, hopefully tomorrow. We're sending you up to Adara.
We're going to kick off this happening now with a look at TSLA because they just published delivery estimates for Q1 2026. This is the second time in a row they've published these estimates. They are expecting 365,000 deliveries. That would be below last quarter's deliveries of just over 418,000. Let's take a look here at the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. Both of these oscillating here near lows, but there's been a lot of volatility as the market digests comments from U.S. President Trump. He's been talking a lot here, and a lot of it's about oil. He said, I would say at this point, at least 10 times, if not more than 10 times, that the U.S. doesn't need a deal with Iran. Iran's begging to make a deal with them. He also has made some comments here about the Strait of Hormuz, saying that they have targets they want to hit before they leave and that they could leave at any time, but also because of how planes are, they could also come back and re-enter the conflict at any moment. So lots of back and forth here. Be very careful if you're trading this market, but especially oil. President Trump also talking about Fed Chair Powell once again here, saying, quote, we have a moron in the Fed, and also saying that even apparently Kevin Warsh has expressed some concerns about the Federal Reserve renovations. Now, in terms of market moving news, we talked about Tesla, talked about oil, but one story from yesterday that's still moving the market, specifically Meta, is this verdict here in this trial. I mean, we know Meta had a child safety trial verdict go against them on Tuesday evening, but then Wednesday afternoon, turns out another jury found Meta liable here. $3 million in compensatory damages and $3 million in punitive damages for YouTube and Meta. That's a combined $6 million, though Meta's going to be covering 70%. Again, this second trial has to do with a personal injury lawsuit saying that basically these companies are addictive and they're not protecting their consumers. Back to you. Do make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.
Thank you very much for that, guys. Continuing to watch AIFF. It has a higher low and a higher high on the 5 now, but as you can see, the 5-minute chart looking, I don't want to say topping tailish, but it doesn't have that kind of follow through. It's up about 48 4/5%, so it's not a bad look. It's also holding up at the 10 EMA. I like the fact that it defended generally that breakout area. We were talking about 245. You can kind of see on the 5-minute chart there, 245 is where the wicks were breaching, but no closing prints clearing that level. Comes into it, showing a green candle. Now it's got to follow through. If it doesn't move up back into the mid to high 50s, I think this one may lose the 10 EMA. And I have my stop right below that 40 penny level. So we'll see kind of how all that ends up jiving. Keeping an eye here on EEIQ as well, as this one seems to be a bit consolidative now. So this one's a bit tougher to read. I want to say generally you have about between $1 to $1.50 worth of range. Take a look at what we do here at around 9.5. No closing prints above 9.5 since that Christmas tree retracement, right? You do get wicks where we got caught into that 970 area. Great look, right? And then for the most part, look at to the downside, about 8.25 are where the buyers are stepping in. You only have about a few wicks that breach at 8.25, and here we are again trying to move back into that 9.5. So now you're kind of getting this. I don't want to say you're getting a breakout, but you do have what seems to be an ascending wedge pattern, right? You have this area low with all the 950 rejections, and then you have higher lows into that 950 area resistance. So, yeah, and I quite frankly, I wouldn't also say take a breakout trade on 950 because as we've seen, it's made its way to 970, 980, then rejects, drops back down to 8. If that's the look, then clearly we shouldn't be looking for a breakout trade because it seems to retrace. So what I would say on the 5-minute chart, wait for a closing print above 950. If that means you get a worse price, at least you get the security that the selling at around 950 has been kind of done with. So we're going to continue to watch EEIQ, and I don't think I'm going to punch in on this one until and if it closes above 950 on a closing basis, right? It's not going to be enough for it to wick there. I've been caught several wicks down, and that's not going to work for me. So that is what I have for that, and I'm still holding AIFF. Let's see if that one pops up into 950 as well. Swarmer is making a move. Did this thing halt? Not yet. So I just saw it there not doing anything, 39.01. It looks like it might be entering a halt parameter. Let's have a look. I don't see this thing moving. Is it halted? Okay, let's load it up. I don't even know. Let me hold on here. Let's take off this one, SWMR. Let's see, no, we're not halted yet on that. Okay, fine. So Swarmer, nice big move, 39.55. The high of the day is 40.59, but take a look at this closing print and that opening print, it's $40 on the dot. So we're about 45 pennies away from that area high. Keep your eye here on SWMR. Just made a big move. I think it's still negative on the day. No, it's up. Swarmer is now up 25%. When I was watching this one, it had been basically, I think it was negative on the day. No, because we were watching in the pre-market. 930 comes along, and this one is decidedly green. So SWMR back in focus here, guys. And this is a multiple halter. So this one could absolutely give you an opportunity. Keep your eye out on that. I'll keep my eye out on that. EEIQ and AIFF, Joey.
Yes, sir. I was talking to my boy James Bell in the chat. Couldn't agree more with you, my friend. What's up, Mike Peter Ryder? What have you guys been trading today? Let's see what this one individual said here. Solar The Dark Soul. Come on, man, give us some good tickers. If you want us to talk about something, then just bring it up. We'll take a look at them without any question. I want to hear what you define essentially as some good names. To each their own. Like, I'll say one thing about me coming to the floor. It's like I would run my scan and I would look at a certain basket of stocks, but then you just have so many different players here that you learn so many different names as well too, and I like that. You can really broaden your basket. Anyways, aside from that, I'm now regretting owning this much. Appreciate you. What's up, Jay? I appreciate you, man. Do you want the Stone Cold? We'll hit the Stone Cold, and then we'll also hit this one for you. Not directed. We laugh with each other, not at each other. Aside from that, guys, it's chill. I mean, like a nice Thursday, we'll take this, a couple solid trades. So we're not in any rush. I mean, there was the opportunity to get involved in some Bitcoin. I think that has passed. So we'll have to find something else. We can always head back to our scanner and see what we got going on that front. There's always some volume ticking in. We know that this is going to be at the top of its class via volume and market cap wise. The TQ's up on there. What has INTC been doing today? Steady downtrend. Break of that support level is where I would personally look to engage, and then sure enough, 44.87 is a level that it came to a low of. Now XLE, Chris. Oh wow, okay. Shout out my boy Chris. Shout out to our boy Chris over there, a manager in the campus program. He's talking about XLE and trading this one. Yeah, so shout out to him as well. Holder of a lot of cryptocurrencies as well too. So, yeah. Nice holding too as well.
Is he back there
today?
Yeah, I saw him today.
Yeah, he's
Were you talking to him
back
there?
I was talking to him today. Yeah. Shout out to Chris, solid individual. Plays hockey as well too. Out there in the Hammerton.
What does that mean? Oh, Hamilton?
Yeah, the Hammer, man.
They got the best streets in Hamilton.
They're really good.
Sick.
And the air is good, clean.
No potholes. The air is super clean. There's no industrial area in that area, and there's no like metal pollution.
We don't mean to dump on his town or anything like that.
No,
like,
I love going there.
You like going to Hamilton?
Good.
I love how we're being so sarcastic. It's not even funny. Hamilton's trash, unfortunately. But like, hey man, it all can't be sunshine. Dude, downtown Hamilton, I never experienced anything like it. Have you been downtown Hamilton?
I have.
It is worse than the city.
University.
Yeah, it's like they shipped, like if you're unfortunately homeless and addicted to drugs, you were shipped over there to Hamilton. No, I'm serious. That's right.
London was way better, Assassino.
Yeah,
we're not talking about London, England. We're talking about London, Ontario. Well, you don't like London, Ontario, Assassino? He wouldn't say hate. It's too strong of a word.
Yeah, no.
But he doesn't like it either, right?
He doesn't like it.
That's 2 hours from me. I don't think London's all that bad, man. I used to visit my friends at Western all the time.
Like, same, man.
Eh? He lived there for 2 years. Okay, so you have a bit of a different take. I'll give you that. Living there and visiting there, two different things. But Joe,
because you got to leave on the weekend, after the weekend, right? You go over there and see what you got going on.
The parties at Western.
Yeah, they were the best. You couldn't beat it, man. You know how many times I stayed?
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. We would stay at the res at my buddy's house.
Either Western or Queens. Queens.
You like Queens?
I like.
I wouldn't even lie, man.
Like
I had a great time at school in Guelph too, man.
Okay, I did have a good time at Guelph, but Guelph's a smaller city,
it's
though.
Smaller.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You kind of knew everybody there, right? And like by the time I moved in, my buddies who went to the university there, we had a house on the corner. We were in the thick of things and everything along those lines. So it was a good time for me. I like.
Okay, so Dragon, you're gone, brother. Like you can't be saying stuff like that on the channel. I'm not gonna put up with it, and you're done. All right,
bro.
There goes AIFF into the area. High 268. It's got a candle of indecision now. So be careful here. It's got to clear the 2/3 of a dollar to really kind of move up into 3/4. Let's see if we can get up into about 3. It's a very, very strong kind of trend. I think it's been quite respectful of not only the moving averages, but the breakout area, which again we earmarked into about 245 to 240 to 250, pardon me. The day high right now is 268, 54% under its wings. But guys, I really want to bring your attention to EEIQ. This is now an ascending wedge pattern. We clearly have an upward slope of higher lows and a very clear flat top. In my humble submission, it is 950. Now, not each touch into 950 is created equal. Now we're kind of getting wicks that reject 950. Earlier, we were kind of breaching 950 by a lot, 980. Now you're not really getting that, right? So they're certainly selling at around 950. That's not in question. What I really want to stress, though, are these higher lows and the respect for 8 in and around this area, which, by the way, that $8 support level now was resistance. Take a gander at what we did after that Christmas tree retracement. We were using 8 as resistance. So this one feels like it may be stair-stepping up. Something to watch out for there. Shout out to Golf Franchise. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. He wants y'all to know about LXU, MUR, AMPY long. I'll look at one of those, and I guess you can look at the other, Joey. Let's take a quick look here.
President Trump just finished the cabinet meeting. No more questions. He's done.
All right. So President Trump is done.
Ramin said she was going to give the lesson of the day. Did you see that?
Of what? Oh, bro, I had a lot of jokes there, but I'm not going to
same.
stay quiet.
You had to refrain yourself a little bit there.
Maybe her lesson will focus on the remaining of life.
Oh. End it. End the stream.
End the stream. No, I thought it was actually okay. All right, here we go. 17.19 high on LXU. Thank you, Golf Franchise. This is actually a good one. It is a little bit light on volume for an intraday trade, but the pattern is what it is. If you can stomach kind of the spread that comes with that, have at it. From a daily, I was just looking at this at the daily. This is a nice looking chart, my man. Let's flip to the weekly here. I want to take a gander of what this looks like on a wider time frame. Okay, so this could be forming a rounded bottom. You may have something here. This is really good. It looked like it formed a base. I want to say generally around 8. There were breaches, of course, and you can see that breach here, but now we're kind of recovering from that. I think if we get above 10 and hold above 18, pardon me, that's money. That's absolute money with the ultimate area high there at around 28. Looks like the closing prints got into about 25, so I'd be looking out for resistance on 25. But that's a really nice look here. LXU's LSB Industries, it's a $1.25 billion market cap. And they're engaged in the manufacture and sale of chemical products, primarily manufactures, markets, and sells ammonia, fertilizer grade ammonium nitrate, and urea ammonia nitrate. Now, my understanding is a lot of our fertilizer does come from the Middle East, and that has been on hold because no ships have been passing. So that's the bad side of the equation. The good side is, my understanding is about 80% of American farmers have already purchased their fertilizer for the season. So if we're looking at it affecting this planting season, I don't think it will. But obviously, if this continues longer, then we may have a bit of a different issue. But I'm assuming this is why it's breaking out in this way, right? $10 essentially flat top break. And since that time, we're up like 66%. So it's got to be something to do with the fertilizer trade. Good on you. Good eye for that. You want to look at MUR for him?
Yeah, MUR?
Yeah. That was the other one that he pointed out there.
MUR, yeah, let's take a look at that one. MUR, let's see what we have. Murphy Oil, that's up to the top side. So, I mean, like, we've gone over this through a couple of different sectors and subsectors, is that when you have something that's really in play, you're going to kind of get that rising tide lifts all ships here. And then Murphy Oil, something that I'm going to be straight with you, I'm not overly familiar with, but look at this from May. It just steady up into the nice steady uptrend there. So it's a pretty good look. And from April of last year, you're getting 112%. Obviously, a boost from some of the other, some of the oil controversies that we're having right now. So, yeah, this is a really good play. I like that. You're just rotating into the right sector out of tech. And I think that's kind of the narrative of what's going on right now. You're seeing that rotation out of tech and then into some of the oil and energy plays. Staples was good for a little bit at the beginning of it before the oil trade became extremely hot. Yeah, timber time is right. Gorb, you were talking, the market new low of the day. Spiral, nice call out there. You were talking about it for quite some time. Good look. Yeah, Gorb, we were long NVDA as well, too. You said, you mentioned that. I didn't take anything off up there. I have nothing left, so it doesn't even faze me. Essentially, when we take it off, we can just hold it for the rest of the day. Sure enough, boom, a nice move up there. After multiple attempts, too. take a little piece out, boom, stopped out, take a little piece out, boom, stopped out, and then eventually, like we said, apparently the third child is the favorite child, and then I'm the third child.
Are you?
Yeah.
I always wanted a bigger family.
So
Yes, Asina, you're the third child as well.
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just me and my sister. And yeah, like growing up, we didn't have much of a relationship. Almost 7 years between us, 6.5 to be exact. But yeah, clearly you don't have too much in common when you're younger. Yeah. And quite frankly, we still don't have too much in common. She's got a family, I don't, right? She's in science, I'm not. So there's still like a lot that's different about us, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
there's not a whole lot there.
Did she have a lot of friends?
She's got a good amount of friends, especially because she moved to California, so she had to start anew, right? But then, like, she goes to church, and the church is super community-based, so she made a lot of friends there. What?
How old was she when she moved to Cali?
She moved in 2019. She's born in 75.
Okay. Yo, no, did you see what
I'm not the only old one around here, my boy.
No, that's all right. Mr. Duckett, Mr. Duckett's, I don't think he was being serious, but that was common. I'm not going to repeat what Mr. Duckett said. You can read it, but I
can buy whatever car I want, brother. I had a very expensive car before I sold it, and I'm selling it for a specific reason, is I have bigger goals. So
exactly. Sorry, but I think he was being sarcastic in there.
I know.
We were doing the
comparison.
Yeah, we're doing the comparison thing there, which I understood. But anyways, aside from that, watch it, Mr. Duckett. You'll catch hands over there. Farmers. Okay, you know who it is. It's one of our favorite. Well, all of you guys are my favorite anyways. Son of Daniel, he's not the third child here. Farmers may have already purchased their fertilizer. However, the concern is that their suppliers may not be able to deliver. Okay, that was a serious one. I thought you were going to refer something about cheese or something along those lines. But anyways, thank you very much for that. Now, golf franchise, if you don't want to invest in fertilizer, play CF, long as well. So fertilizer in play, it seems as well. We'll take a look at CF. Thank you, golf franchise. Are you a scratch golfer or not? Otherwise, you might have to change your name, my friend. No, I'm only joking. Let's see, what was it, CF that we're looking at? That is correct. CF. Sorry for the moment of pause. Let's take a look at CF. I know Danny Boy was talking about this. Danny, what were you? What fertilizer company were you talking about not too long ago? But this is a big time move. $77. What? 77% just like that? You're almost going to get tapped into. If you go to 144, that's a 100% right there. So not too bad. The fertilizer play definitely in vogue right now.
It is. It absolutely is, man. And you can see them. They're all kind of breaking out at the same time. I think another one, DAR.
Why would that be?
Well, I kind of. You were talking to Chris back there. So basically, a lot of the fertilizer that comes to North American farmers comes from the Middle East. They come on boats. Boats aren't passing through the Strait of Hormuz. But like I was saying also, that I was reading a report the other day that about 80% of American farmers had already purchased their
yearly supply,
their fertilizer for this planting season. So I think we're okay now. But if it continues on for any prolonged period of time, I think it might be a bit of a problem. Do you have a broker that will get creative to help qualify for a mortgage as a day trader? That's a fantastic question, because a lot of day traders don't want their day trading profits to be actually categorized in a way that would make sense if you're going for a mortgage. They don't want it to be categorized as income because it gets taxed at a higher marginal rate. A lot of people want to get it taxed through the capital gains route, where it's just basically 25%, not up to 46. I think we have 53 now, highest marginal rate. So a lot of bit has been made about that. That's a great question on your part. I don't really have a good answer to it, because on one side, you realize it as income, you pay more in tax, but then in this country, your NOA, your notice of assessment, is reflective of higher income, and that's good for banks, but at the same time, then you're paying a little bit more. So I think you should probably seek, professional advice there on that. And also, I don't know, you are in Canada. I think you're in Vancouver, right? So be careful with TFSAs. Be very careful trading out of your TFSA. There was a court case, I think, in the federal court during COVID, where one of the traders who made a lot of money in their TFSA tried to realize it as capital gains. They didn't let him. He lost in federal court, and it basically set a precedent. But you're going to have to double check all that information, okay?
Yeah, you need consistent profitability, like 3 years. I think it's 2 years here, maybe 3 years in the States for it to even be considered.
Considered what?
That income be considered from the bank. So 2 years, yeah, you see what I'm saying?
But we're talking about two different things.
Yeah.
So you bring up a really good point.
You have to prove it for multiple years.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah.
That's so that the bank knows it's a consistent source of revenue. What I'm talking about is taxability, right? So you're talking about banks. I'm talking about CRA, Canada Revenue Agency.
Yeah,
So
for
it's a
sure.
bit of a
Shout out CRA.
All right, I have a mortgage, but I qualified before I was a day trader, so just curious what the approach would be. It's a great question, man.
Shout out to Just Pay Cash, JD Wills. What up, man? That's my initials. That's what I call myself sometimes, JD Will.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, my middle name's my dad's name.
Okay, continuing to watch here, guys, AIFF. This one's struggling to kind of get back up. Now we have two lower highs in a row after that high of day into 268. Let's keep an eye out there, but I'm still really interested in EEIQ. This one keeps dancing around 9. It is putting in lower highs, but it's also got higher lows. Unsure how to square this circle here. You kind of see the buying, you see the ascending wedge pattern starting to manifest, but you don't get any decisive breakthroughs of that 950 area, quite frankly, at all, right? So that is something to be on the lookout for there, especially on EEIQ. Now, I was going to say try to base it on prior bar low, but look at this current candle on the 5-minute chart. Low is 876, high is 924. It completely breaches the 883 prior bar low. So, yeah, I don't think this one's setting up quite yet. Any other tickers in the world of small cap gappers you guys want me to look at? I absolutely will look at that for you, but a bit of a light bunch today, guys. For the exception of, that EEIQ breakout earlier on, we haven't really got much, and maybe AIFF holds above 40. That is where my out is on that. But for the moment, going to pack my patience over here. Shout out to Golf Franchise. Florida had a few freezes that destroyed most of the fall crops. Squash, cabbage, peppers, carrots. GRO still in play with a small pullback. I was actually keeping a look at that. Thank you very much, first of all, for the super chat there, the $5 super chat. But I was actually looking at AGRO this morning to see if it would kind of make the move back up. Let's have a look at the 5-minute chart over here. Yeah, it's not doing a whole lot, brother. In fact, it's definitely got a bit of a downtrend now. To go positive on the day, it's got to get 1470. 1412 is where it's currently trading at. The volume is also significantly lower than it was yesterday. We haven't even done 1 million shares, guys. 745,000 shares. So maybe you're thinking swing trade here, Golf Franchise, because be quite honest with you, there's not much looking on the intraday. This is the 4-hour chart. So if you guys are going to swing this, I'd say definitely look for a hold of 13. It's look at this, Joey. It's setting up for a possible double top over here into 15. That thing loses 13. Get your shorts ready now because it's probably going to drop into 10, maybe 11. So keep your eye out on that. Thank you for the super chat, guys. We're going to Adair.
Yeah, keep an eye on this BF.B. Looks like this headline came out about 12 minutes ago, and I just checked on X. I didn't really see many people posting about it at the time, but looks like it's been unhalted now. This is Brown Forman, so that's BF.B. Reportedly, Pernod Ricard is considering a potential deal takeover bid here for Brown Forman. Again, BF.B on watch possible takeover talks. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, a guy from work, that's his ticker name. Yeah, our SMR hasn't been doing good books. Plenty of recommendations. I mean, we talk about Anna Cooling's VPA, and there's so much more. The For Dummies series, you can get a lot more textbook format, which is really good. But I think one of the books that I took the most out of was definitely Anna Cooling's volume price analysis. Some people hate it, some people love it. I matter of fact, love the book, and it just taught worlds because it's signals that we see day in, day in. All right, Robert Lewis. All right, what's up, brother? Yeah, absolutely. But that's my number one, in my opinion. I have a whole shelf of them that I read years ago now that we can definitely bring back up. But Palantir, yeah, let's go over this charting. I mean, these names that we talk about were just so hot for so long, and eventually you're going to cool down. And our guest this morning, I keep forgetting his name, and that's my fault. But essentially, he's like, man, it doesn't matter if you're the best in class. Eventually, you will have some form of a pullback. I mean, with Palantir, we would think that we'd be performing a little bit better. But look at the run that this name has been on for the past couple of years. Like, absolutely insane. I was trading this thing at like 13, 14 bucks. February of 24 to where we're currently trading at is just absolutely insane. And even more insane when you go over to the peak. These guys are going to be integrated into so much military equipment, it's not even funny. And I think that's going to be the way. They're expanding their global customer base as well, too. So they're stepping outside of completely government contracts and signing deals elsewhere. I believe they have one in Japan and Germany as well. So I really like what Palantir is doing. And if you look at it compared to some of the other fintech names, like you're down 30%, I understand that. But I think there's going to be some good buying opportunities. This is one level that I like that was brought up this morning, and that was approximately a 12% pullback from where we currently are. I think that's a reasonable level, right? And we've done this. We've gone over time on the weekly, is that you typically pull back to that next major resistance or support zone before really starting to rock and roll. And if we look at the weekly, look at it. It's extremely bearish. So I like this pullback. That's going to be approximately 12%. Do I believe that we're going to head directly into bear territory and down 20% plus? I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. But Gore brought up a great point as well not too long ago. 30% you're down now on META. Joining Microsoft, right? So you have participants within the Meg 7 that have not been performing well, and yet you have the major averages only down about like 5% and 7% respectively. So not
Can
bad.
you, I'm going to cover this for case here, ARTL, but Wendy's Tendies wanted to know a little bit more about what you were talking about there with respect to income for day trading for mortgage purposes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know too much more than what I talk, but we can talk a little bit more about it. We can find some more out.
All right, yeah, so let me do this to ARTL.
Yeah.
Look over here. So Case pointing out ARTL. This was decidedly negative on the day. I mean, it had a couple of good days, I want to say, last week, the 20th of March. There's the pop-off into the high 975. Did it have good days before that? Yeah, because we've got the ticker there. You know, it has a good day, consolidates another good day, but since that time, Case, it's been a bit of a downtrend. You can kind of see that. So I'd be hesitant to want to get in, just, you know, knowing that the trend generally is down. However, you found a really good base at around $3. I want to say most of the closing prints above 3. You get a couple of wicks there in the pre-market that did lose it. And here we are at 4.25. And quite frankly, this one looks like it may be right. It's on its horse here, looking to go back into about 4 mid-80s. It does that. It gets green on the day. It's down 12.33% right now, but I'd submit to you guys, price-wise, from $0.25 to 4/5, not that small, or sorry, not that big of a gap. So this one could be positive before you know it. So ARTL in focus, but for me, Case, I'd rather be trading something that's trending to the high side rather than taking something that I know might have a little resistance because the sellers have been coming in. But ARTL, not a bad look. There he is, Adam James LeBron.
You can't like that when.
I know. I can't. You know, big Kyle will get mad. I got to do a different one for Adam.
Little smile.
You can do that. No, we got to have our own one for Adam. Shout out to my man Adam James. You should see what he posted on the Instagram today. He's taking pictures of like meat and beef in Canadian supermarkets, and they're all, of course, very expensive, as we know beef is, right? And then he's like, all Canadians gonna be homeless in 2 years. Like, dude,
this guy's a hater, man. This guy like, bro, don't forget where you live at, my brother.
I love him. I think he's hilarious.
I love him.
Yeah, let's look at SoFi, because I remember Neil was complaining about this one. Yeah, another 3.5% today. Yeah, he's not happy about that. Are you swinging this, Adam, or are you holding in the long term here? Because, oh my days. Well, we're coming into some technical levels here. What I don't like, obviously, is the neckline break at around $25. That's problem number one. Problem number two, the red line crossing below the blue line. That is the death cross, where the 50 moving average crosses below the 200, and you you get that around March 2nd of this year, or so it looks. And now the moving averages are pointing downwards. That's also another thing to keep an eye out there. So guys, I don't know, SoFi, we've got this area top over here from back in late 24. If this doesn't hold up, man, it's certainly not a good look here for SoFi. I don't know if you're talking intraday or talking swing. If you're talking intraday, there's nothing really positive to say about this. This is an obvious downtrend here, a downward channel, or so it seems. You can kind of draw the parallels there. I'd trade this as a channel. You're shorting on the moves up. You're covering on the way down. Extend those trend lines down. It's been quite respectful of it, as you can see there on the daily. But keeping an eye here just before we go to Adara, AIFF making another move here into the 60s. I think we're about 6 or 7 pennies below the high of the day. Thank you, Adam. And we're going to Adara.
Yeah, keep an eye here on Warby Parker and Meta. Warby Parker, WRBY, META, of course, is Meta. Meta is still near day's lows, but I'm just seeing reports here from Low Pass suggesting an early scoop that Meta could be launching 2 new Ray-Ban AI glasses. Again, the implication here is that this would be competition for Warby Parker. Only about 500,000 shares traded on this one on the day, so nothing massive, but just keep an eye here on some of these glasses names, as again, we do get reported new glasses here for Meta, which again is still at day's lows after this trial news from yesterday.
Oh, bro, I might buy. Yeah, like if I like it, I'll hold on to it. If I don't, I might return it. I want to get the good ones. Yeah. The ones that actually kind of project the augmented reality on the glasses. Look, people are crapping on them. People are crapping on them online. They're like, the usability right now, you can get text messages on it or messages on Messenger. Yeah. Right?
Who uses Messenger?
Only for Facebook Marketplace. I'm messaging back and forth with people trying to strike deals. That's one. 2, you can get navigation on it.
Oh,
again. I mean, bro, like, I'm not doing that complicated of navigation in a city I don't know. I know these streets.
Oh, you've been out here, eh?
We've been in these streets. No, seriously, though, what am I going to use it for? There's only been a couple of use cases, so I'll give it the old community call or JUCO try.
Give it the JUCO try. Let me know how it goes, and then maybe...
You're gonna get into JUCO as well?
No, well, I'm too old for JUCO now, I think.
So what does that make me? The dean?
Well, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. What an asshole, bro.
All right, bro. Wendy's Tendies. So it's just a couple of things you guys want to talk about, and it's funny. Maybe we should have a little bit more talk about this. Is that what are some of the requirements if you're looking to purchase a home and using some of your day trading, I guess, gains and use it as a revenue base? So one thing is, I think, really important. You're gonna need a solid line of credit. Okay, I think that's where the bank really starts. And then money. The more cash that you have to put down, the harder it is for them to say no. Okay. Now, you also want a couple of years of consistent revenue, but one thing that I found very interesting and something that I did for myself a while ago when I was trading at home is you can either create your own corporation or create a sole proprietorship. Now, in the States, it may be a little bit different. And is that what they call an LLC in the States or something?
Limited liability company?
Yeah.
We got those too.
We got those too,
yeah,
but I think the proprietorship and the corporation.
Sole proprietorship.
Exactly.
You have limited partnerships as well, LPs.
Yep.
You have, of course, limited liability companies. There's others. There's that I'm forgetting. Obviously, you have corporations, but a lot of them just generally are to limit liability.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you have a separate entity aside from yourself, right? So yeah, I think that's the really big thing. The more cash you have on hand, the harder it is. The longer that you can prove consistency, the better you're off. And then if that's the case, the chances are you have a relatively good credit score. So if you can align those things, then you can go and maybe have a conversation with the bank. And I don't even know what the mortgage rate is at right now here in
so I'll tell you
in Canada.
So if you are going to go to a B lender, which
typically higher,
you would think,
right?
But they're giving you these like introductory rates, sometimes a year or two.
Yeah,
you're able to get 4.5, 4.25.
So if we were to go to
a big 5,
a TD,
you're gonna look at around 5.25, 5.5.
Okay.
Which, honestly,
it's pretty. It's up there. Considering
it's up there.
when I purchased,
we're not gonna see those rate
for a long time.
That decade and a half where we had rates at zero.
Yeah.
I think that probably is once in a generation type thing.
Do you think that, considering how not good our economy is that there's a higher probability that maybe we can see like the 4.5s, maybe high 3s?
They're talking rate hikes.
Really?
Your boy Tiff Macklem at Bank of Canada has been.
So we're even regarding. So you want a QT right now when they have inflation, but essentially the economy is not growing. So what are we going to do? Like we're coming in at a 0%.
The problem of having this stagflationary environment is that you get stagnant wages, but you have inflationary prices.
Yeah.
And it's insane, right? It happened in the 70s, I think, once. And
but do you think reducing,
it was because of oil?
And I guess this is a little bit more subjective. Do you think reducing the amount of money that's flowing in is good for the economy right now? We want to build it, don't we? Because we have essentially no.
What do you mean reducing the money, though?
So like, but that's what it is. Yeah. If you're increasing rates, then essentially you're kind of closing the tap,
investment.
right? You're less, but also you're not flowing in more money. You're kind of tightening the tap. That's when the dollar gets stronger. So there's not as much flow of money going in. But don't we want that? Considering we're not really growing at all.
But then you have the inflationary side of the equation, right? So if you do increase the money supply,
that's what makes
the
it.
problem with stagflation, right?
That's the major
problem.
issue.
Yeah. It's quite interesting, guys.
I was 2.3% when I bought my condo.
I personally don't think we're going to see those rates
you're not
for
gonna get
a while,
that. No.
man. I don't think we have the same environment. All right, continuing to watch here, guys. What are you guys looking at? I'm still holding AIFF here, which seems to have a lot of trouble clearing 60. That's the bad news. The good news is very clearly on the 5-minute chart, you're seeing those higher lows. So the stair-step pattern is very much in play at the moment. Be careful with this one, though. It does keep coming down to the $0.50. It may lose it at one point. I'm also waiting for a liquidity grab where, they stop hunt you if you have your stop a little bit too tight. I've put mine, because I'm in at 47, below 40. That gives me a little bit of room with which to work. Let's see if this ends up doing well. But there's a chart on SoFi. I don't know why I've got that on there. KC says USO is moving. So let's have a look at that. Somebody was saying USO is moving. Let's have a quick look. Okay, back into the area high. So USO just got into day's highs again. It's up more than 4 1/3 now. The market the Qs are down 1 1/2, the SPY's down 1 1/5, the IWM 1 1/3, and the Dow is down 3/4. So obviously, USO up, market down. Keep your eye out on this one. I'm not going to be involved in USO, but people were also saying BATL earlier. Let's have a look at Battle. Okay, so that one's waking up as well with the USO move. Guys, BATL could be a nice long here if it can clear prior area high. You're getting the higher lows. There's no question about that. You come back down. You're respecting the 10 EMA on the 5, and you can see where their sellers are between the 3/4 to 4/5. So we clear that level. We're probably going to get on our horse into 7, and then if oil really pumps up, baby, we're looking at that 7.5. So there it is, BATL, not looking bad at all here, up 30%. Who's this going to replace on the side chart? Mara, which looks like hot garbage. So BATL makes its way onto the side chart. What's this area high over here? 684. We're showing 3s, so we're pretty close to taking out prior area high. There it is. Now we're at 84. So yeah, BATL definitely in focus here, up 30.75%. I wanted to mention EEIQ. I was really biased that this one had higher lows and is going to be a flat top break through 9. Comes back into 8.5 now. A very clear downtrend starting to ensue here on EEIQ. Take a gander at this. We were talking about these candles here being kind of maybe on the precipice of a flat top break. I'm talking about the candles from 155 to about 1210, but that since changed its tune and right back into that 8.25, 8.5 area support. So I might have to change my approach here on EEIQ. And then SWMR. Wowzers, this one is back, baby. It's up nicely today, up about 25%, and here comes $40. Case, how come you're not involved in this? This is like your world over here. Here into that $40 area, 40.50 high, and this one is also doing that kind of ascending wedge, higher lows into that $40 flat top. Let's see if they can shake some of the sellers there, Joey. So SWMR also in focus.
Yeah, absolutely. We got multiple super chats here, guys.
All right.
Let's see what we got going on here. All right. Golf franchise. Don't worry, Joe. When Blackstone has to liquidate their housing portfolio to stay solvent, that will crash home prices than you buy. Yeah, I know, but I don't think the government here wants people to lose so much value because that's where the majority of wealth is built. Take basic accounting classes. Yeah, I took a year at Humber College. I didn't really learn anything, but my professor was really smart, to be honest with you. I shouldn't say I didn't learn anything. I learned a lot, but nothing necessarily from an economical standpoint, just more or less book work. Sorry, bro. I still have big property tax payments once a year and homeowners insurance. Yeah, but homeowners insurance here isn't. I think mine was like $500 a year or something like that for condo insurance when I owned my condo. And then we got Danny Boy also with the super chat. Guys, is it just me or is this whole market is looking more and more book of revelations with every passing hour? Okay, interesting. Another $5 super chat. Dave, need some aloe vera. Don't think my Dave trade of the day was shown. No more A-grade tilapia for you. All right, Dave, what's up, brother? Not too bad. $6K in Cali per year for your home insurance? That's crazy. All right, mine wasn't expensive. Mine was like $600 max for the year. But aside from, and that was like $1 million coverage or something along those lines. But aside from that, the index mags just alone are probably 60% of the chat. Also in macro terms like rates, currency pairs, important to trading. It's top-down index sectors and stocks. Yeah, but to be honest with you, I know nothing about the Forex trade. Like, literally next to nothing. I never really traded it. Yeah, it's moving down, Katina, man. Nice work there, brother. We like that. We'll hit this one for our guy over there as the NASDAQ continues to slide, and he is short. But yeah, as for Forex, were you ever into Forex trading?
No, man.
Yeah.
I never was. You know, I always joke that the only Forex trade I ever took was when I signed up with IB.
Yeah.
And
same.
Initially, they didn't let you, if you had Canadian dollars, buy American stocks. You had to buy U.S. currency, so you had to do a Forex trade.
Oh, yeah, but now you can.
Now you can.
But
they changed the rules, yeah. But I wasn't around when they, well, I was around. Sorry, guys, I'm just trying to set up my screen. Just give me a sec, Joe. Just trying to set up the screens here.
So I think there might be a reload opportunity here in NVIDIA. We had a nice little move up there. Obviously, this part of the range would be more ideal, but if I could just give it about 25 cents or so, we'll add a little bit, nothing substantial, considering it's already been a pretty good trade for us, and the trend is down right now, so it is a counter trend play, which you have to be really cautious about and be prepared to get out. So, but if I add a little bit, just for giggles here to see if we can get a little bit more of a move, but not too bad whatsoever. And Bitcoin's starting to climb. Holding that $39 mark, I like the base that's being formed, so there could be an opportunity to get involved there. 72.57, you can see my average move up drastically, considering I didn't have much of that previous position, but not a bad trade over there. Let's get involved in a little bit of Bitcoin, just because 39 is holding. If it cracks 39, then we get out of Dodge, so we're not going to worry about that whatsoever. Let's involve in Bitcoin. So now we're in two positions, one reload here on NVDA for the move back up into the volume-weighted average price, and then looking for somewhat of a recovery here in Bitcoin. But as soon as it cracks, I'm not going to be I'm not going to give this one much room, or am I going to be overly patient with it? If it cracks 39 and heads into 38, like 95s, hasta la vista, adios. We'll find something else, and we'll stick with names that are working with us, because Bitcoin has not been one of our better traders as of late, considering the downtrend that it has been in. Now, golf franchise back in the super chat world. Play SDAO as the market sinks, forming bull trend. SDAO. Okay. We got SDAO. There's Ultra Pro short.
Bless you,
that's the Dow Jones short. Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. This thing is just decay. Yeah, it's tough, man. $160. They'll have to do a reverse split or something along those lines, but the ultra short as the Dow continues to climb a little bit higher. Not too bad of a look. If you're shorting that, is that what you're doing? Just shorting that all the time? Anyways, be careful. Look at Apple. Market makers used Apple's last March, April during the dump to make the last move. Yeah, again, I'm just using a little bit of my realized gains right now to put on some more shares, and more or less for you guys, to be honest with you, and get a little bit involved as the market is taking an additional leg lower here.
Guys, BATL is making a move. It's kind of, oil's not at the high, but BATL certainly is on its horse here and wants to take out that, well, at least is approaching that $7 area. I don't know if we get into the 750. That's not the official high of the day, though, mind you. Those highs at around, I want to say 740, 745 is the pre-market high right there. So here we go, BATL into 698. It's a 1 penny spread on this, mind you, as well. So it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So BATL making a move, something to mission to greatness says he's getting the hell out of, he didn't say that, but I'm exaggerating. He's getting out of BATL here. $7 area, yeah, you can certainly expect $7 in and around that area, or resistance at around that $7 area. Whether or not we break through 7, we're not really moving with oil. So BATL is marching to the beat of its own drum around these levels. So be on the lookout, but it's a great uptrend for the moment on Battle. This is kind of what I'm talking about. They're unbroken, by the way. And not just the trend line, that green line as well. Move the trend line out of the way. You can see the respect for the 10 moving average exponential that is on the 5. And it's showing that it was able to take out that prior area high as well. And even when it did, got into that 6 4/5, comes back in, holds that 10 EMA, and now it's trying to make a move above 7. Whether or not we get the buying we need to clear 7, your guess is as good as mine. AAIF just bottom wicked into 245. It is now, I want to say, an unbroken downtrend from that 268 area high. We really haven't been able to put decidedly higher highs relative to the prior candle, save and except for that one green candle that manifested at around 1230, which I'm talking about this one right here. Other than that, it's been in a bit of an aggressive sell. Now, sometimes the money fills come in between the 10 and the 20. Let's see if that happens here with AIFF. I want to bring your attention as well to SVRN. What is this on the NQ? Yes, into the high of the day goes SVRN. Sub 30 pennies, 29 1/4 penny high, but that is the official high of the day, taking out the 1105 high. This one is a little bit light on volume though, man. SVRN, what the hell is this one doing on the day? Where is it? Show yourself, SVRN. 13 1/3 million shares on a 29 penny name. Not exactly appetizing, but there goes Battle. Through 7, into 7 1/4. What a move Battle is here, man. Should have been all over this one. What a big move. 723, showing 15s. This one is marching to the beat of its own drum, though. It is not moving with oil. Watch out here for Battle. It's done about 29 3/4 million shares, with that official high being 723. However, I got to bring your attention to the double top at 740 in the pre-market, as well as the not official, but the real high of the day having taken place in the pre-market, 745. You need to be aware of those levels. Even if they've manifested in the pre-market, I'll submit to you, they manifested on more volume at 840 than we're doing now. That candle that got into the high of the day had 740,000 shares, and the one that ended up being red, 646,000. This candle that just took us through 7, it's not letting me hover over. Give me a sec. So I can't quite see the volume on that, but it looks to be about 400,000, 500,000 shares. Anyway, less than what we were doing in the pre-market. What I'd be on the lookout for, 2 things. Watch for a retest of 7. If 7 fails, you're looking for a buy area between 680 and 690. That's the breakout area, right? So that could act as support. So BATL in focus here, looking real good. Much unlike AIFF, this one continues to downtrend. It looks like maybe the sellers are in control of this one right now. If it loses 40 pennies, that's where I end the trade. If it doesn't, we'll continue to hold on to it for a possible retest of 26 pennies. So we're going to keep an eye out on that. Katina, man, you just got a $20 super chat over here. Sean, it's for both of them. Sean, Neil, I was up at 5 a.m. Oil up, tech down. Traders overlay oil, gold with your regular charts to assess your risk. Decoupling possum ER pattern. I don't know what that means. More equals more risk. Fish and bucket market. I like that. Akiado Ichiban. It's a lot of words. I get some of it. I do. I like what you had to say. I like how you structured it. Very interesting. Thank you, Dave. Sequoia C. Dave Z. Sequoia C. for the $20 super chat. I've read that out loud. They did hear it, obviously. I like to hear that the fact that you were up at 5 a.m., as am I. I always check the markets right away, and I noticed that tech was down, oil was up. But traders, according to Dave, overlay oil with gold with your regular charts to assess your risk. It's actually quite smart because we know that oil, gold, and the US dollar kind of all have a certain relationship with one another. So great advice there. And thank you very much for the super chat. Joey.
Yes, sir. Is it that time? Oh, no, we got a couple more minutes.
Oh, the news? Yeah, we got another 5-6 minutes or so. We'll start that.
Man.
Scott H. up at 5 a.m. doing his first, but no, I stopped doing the 5 a.m. sessions now. We do them after the morning run. So I leave here about 9:30, get to the gym by about 9:45. We smash a sesh, 9:45 to 10:30, get back here for 11 to 2:30, start the second gym sesh 3:15 to 5 to about 8:30. We're working at the other job. 8:30, we're eating dinner, and then we're doing our Mandarin, and then we're doing the Z's, my boy. That's what we're doing there, Joe. What do you got?
That's good, man. Ex-Carolina Tech, Joe and Shreve done for the day, up $550 on the week. Love the show. Thank you. Lock it in, man. You know what I say. Don't spend it all in one place. Lock that in and make sure you enjoy it. Done for the week, done for the day. Make sure you have a cap on the loss as well. So we got out on that reload here as it came a little bit lower at 72.40, but congratulations. Nice work. That's what we want to hear.
I like it.
Especially on the week. Now, as for IBIT, this is going to be our first trade on this one today, and it's slowly starting to climb higher. We talked about that $39 mark being our out. As soon as that was breached, we would get out of Dodge. Yeah, Bart, I mean, what's Tesla been up to? So this is the narrative, essentially, for me on here on IBIT. Downtrend is still fully intact, but we're holding 39 on how many occasions? Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 5-minute candles that are holding that support level. And I wouldn't be surprised if it does break lower, but if we're going to continuously bounce, there's a trade to be had within that potential setup. Now, Tesla, ooh, okay. Yesterday was actually, Tesla was the savior of the session in the latter half of the day, around 3 o'clock, 3:30 or so. Now, Tesla bouncing off of that 377 mark, pretty good. And I like some of these indecision prints off of these lows. But if it's trend down all day, you have to be prepared to get out when you're supposed to. I'll keep an eye on it via TSLA. I like using that vehicle. It's just really work. You can really hammer a bunch of shares, and then when you get that strong pop, it's like it gives you multiple cents right at a time.
Oh, wow.
And then you can take a little bit off. So that's what we got going on. Tesla, not a horrible look. Wait for the lower end of the range. If you get that pullback and hold up one more time, battle up to 719. You're not in that one. You're watching. You're watching it though. And I don't think I'm going to add any more shares here on IBIT. When half risk on this one. If we're fortunate enough to head up into this resistance zone, we'll take a little bit off. It's not much. You need to hammer a lot of shares in order to kind of put on some solid trades with this one, but that's not necessarily the case in which I've just done. Who wants? I don't know, man. I don't know. No, who wants Jack and Coke? Says Mike Peter Ryder. No,
Mike.
Not really.
Kind of early a little bit there.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Sharif.
Well, I don't think for him it is though.
It's definitely not. He's just down there.
Hold on, he's in Toronto?
No, he's in the banks, Outer Banks.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but it's not like that warm or anything, man. Shout out to the OBs. But yeah, Battle's really strong. Yeah, Battle is breaking out. 728, punched through that previous pivot high. Not too bad. You're not joking, Mike Peter, right? It's all right. You don't have to. No judgment here, my friend. But anyway, 721, a nice breakout. Pardon me?
Why are you calling him out like that?
Well, you put it in the chat. If you put it in the chat, it can get called out, man. It doesn't matter. I could say something, you can call me out on it. But anyways, aside from that, guys, the market is weak. I thought we were going to have a nice, strong session. But guess what? I could be totally wrong. I think I have a 50-50 chance here. But I'm going to call this for a potential nice rally Friday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Why not?
I think
stay optimistic.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that going into the weekend with some positivity. Who could complain about that?
Yeah,
but I got to tell you, I don't think unless President Trump kind of gets what he's looking for from the Iranians, I don't think he backs off here. So
no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, well,
and I don't think they're going to be over easily. I don't think they're going to be the easiest to work with either.
No, and I go back to the same thing I said yesterday. You may be working with one group and another group may have completely different opinion, and they may have more power militarily, whatever is left for the military. Then the other group, it's just going to be super convoluted to deal with this issue. I don't think it's going to be as easy as, anyway. Guys, you guys keep yelling about Turbine. TURB is apparently making a move here. We just took a quick print there on AIFF as it popped back in above the 80s, but let's take a look at TURB. What is this one up to here? Up 30, 40, 43%. Okay, not bad. All right, TURB. What do we got in terms of volume, though, Joey? We got about 8 million shares. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. For a $2 name, the spread right now is about 1 or 2 pennies. So it's not bad either. We've definitely taken out some closing prints there. Looks like we had a lot of trouble with 2. These prints in the morning at 8:45 and 8:50 did get off a little bit higher into 242, but you can see where the candles opened and closed just south of that 205. I submit to you it's a $2 rejection. So it looks like you're clearing 2 on a stair-step basis. That's a lot more, you know, I would say it's a better pattern than the Christmas tree retracement where you move up, then move equally as aggressively down. This is kind of stair-stepping up, so it looks like to be a little bit better here. 195 though, if I really had to be pressured, 195 is the breakout area. Multiple rejections on the 5-minute chart into 195. So I'd be looking for a buy zone on Turbine here between 2 to 195, assuming of course it makes its way down there. It will have to break trend to get back into 2 or 195, meaning that it'll be breach of prior bar low. That is something you need to look at as well. But hey, it's got a good percentage under its wings. It's above VWAP. It's not above the pre-market high in the technical sense, but it's above the closing and opening prints of those 2 candles. It's got a bunch of higher lows and higher highs. It's respecting the 10 moving average on the 5. So you got to put some respect on TURB's name here. We'll see if we can kind of execute into that. But I'm also looking closely here at BATL because we're pretty much approaching the pre-market high. Again, the pre-market high is 745. The official high of day is 730. So that's another thing to look at, but definitely here, looks like the buying is stepping in quite aggressively here, Joey, at around 730. Let's see if we can break some of those. Adam, one day I will travel to Toronto just to do a day in the life of Sharif. Oh, brother, you can do that anywhere. You can get up at 5 a.m. anywhere. You can gym anywhere. You can trade anywhere. So I'm sure you already do it, Adam. Shout out to you, brother. We all know that you also have a fundamental regimen on your side there. You don't get that kind of success accidentally. I always say to my friends, you don't stumble into success. Some people do. They got money. But I wouldn't really call that success. I would say that was more inherited. Success, I think, definitely is planned and deliberate. But that's just my opinion there. What do you got?
I need to gym more, says Wendy's. Yeah, you do.
Get it, Wendy's?
Yeah, I mean, we switched that up from Wendy's tendies to maybe like a chicken wrap or something. I know they got them there, but it's deep fried and all that stuff. Or maybe a salad or something. I don't know. Anyways, aside from that, guys, sorry to the individual who said, why am I longing Bitcoin and they got puts. I mean, it is what it is, right, at the end of the day. So not too bad of a look here whatsoever. 39.06, couple pennies. I don't have very much on there whatsoever. So there's nothing to write home about or be like, all love, Joe. Yeah, Ethan, Preston. Yeah, it's all love, bro. I know you're only joking around. I mean, you had a nice short. Hey, man, give me a little bit here. You had those puts. If you've had those puts all day, you've been cooking up. So we can definitely spread the love and spread the profits, that's for sure. Expiry tomorrow anyways. Nice, man. Good work. Lemon's saying, Joe trades but you could leave for a month and come back, and he's still trading. Dude, Lemons, I took a long break. Guys, you know this. I took a long break from trading IBIT. So I wasn't trading it for quite some time, and now we're starting to rock and roll. After we had a couple of those strong updates and we broke through some resistance zones, that's when I was like, okay, we're going to have some trading sessions. But there was a while, it's just like at some point I was like, okay, this isn't doing what I want it to do. Let's avoid it. All right. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm not going to beat around the bush. One of my more favorite vehicles to trade when it is in play. When it's not like this, I wasn't trading it here. A lot of this in here, I wasn't trading it either. So once we started to form that base, and this is when I started to really re-engage in it for the past little bit. But you can see from a daily, it doesn't look too promising on what we got going on right now. So We'll see. We'll be patient. Nice little pop. Choppy price action. Maybe we can get a pullback in Tesla and a move back into the volume weighted average price. That would be ideal. But you can see there's on the 5-minute time frame here. Look at the big boy from a market cap standpoint. Almost a head and shoulders pattern starting to be formed. Shoulder 1, head, shoulder 2. Right? If that breaks that 173.5 mark, then there's most definitely can be a little bit of a slide and you can retest that low of the day. All right, so that's what we got on those. Head back to our scanner. SoFi we were talking about. We've been going over Bitcoin. We were talking about Robinhood not too long ago. Shreve was looking at Battle.
VSA.
VSA?
VSA is moving here, guys.
Are you in that one there?
Baby, no, I'm not.
Right,
we're going to take off TURB.
Did a reverse split.
Okay. But it's breaking out,
December.
Joey. It looks really good. This is an aggressive breakout here on VSA. This is on the NQ up 107%. It's cleared the dollar. It initially had a resistance at 96, but now it's on its horse and it's really going here. So keep your eye here on VSA. This is a big breakout on volume, about 28 million shares, with the majority of the volume, I want to say, coming in at around 12:30 or so. Yeah, let's just say around 12. The volume started coming in around 12 and it's sustained into this level. So lots of strength here on VSA. We'll talk more about that when we get back from Madeira.
Yeah, kind of an odd one here, but I do want to mention XERS. This is Xeris Biopharma. I guess some people on social media were circulating news or reports here of a potential partnership with REG and Regeneron. Then another ex-user came out and said, hey, this is quote unquote fake news, and this headline is from 2023. So again, looks like XERS, I did check, there was a notable volume spike on this. It spiked basically to VWAP, then it came right back up here. But again, XERS on watch, as looks like potential partnership news it was trading higher on has been reportedly discredited. If I get more details or more context beyond social media back and forth, I'll let you know. But again, I think worth mentioning due to the spike in volume. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, guys, watching VSA here. So consolidation area, I want to say between, let's say, 110 to 105. So you get a bit of a candle of indecision. But look at the subsequent 5-minute candle. Breaches prior bar high, also holds prior bar low. We could see the quarter dollar. If we see the quarter dollar and we clear it decisively, we're going to the half dollar. And there it goes into 22. The volume is still coming in on this one. The buying is even getting stronger. I haven't even seen a red candle on the volume bar or the price action bar, quite frankly, since 12:25. That's about half an hour of Greensville here on VSA, and there's the quarter dollar. All right, so the move is on now. Let's keep an eye out on this one. If we clear the quarter dollar decisively, I have a bias that we're going to the half dollar. Let's watch for some resistance here. Where do you pick this up at? I'd say between 110 to 105. Maybe even if you get more aggressive and your risk would allow it, maybe even the mid-teens, 13, 14, something in and around that level. I wouldn't give it to the dollar. I would give it to about 104 because the 10 EMA on the 5 is at 105. But this one looks like it's just getting bear buyers at the moment right back into the high. You can see selling at 23, 24. Let's see if we can spike up above 25. The high of the day is 24, and we're right there right now, Joey. So this one definitely should be in focus for the small cap traders.
Yes, sir. All right, Bravely posting some questions in the chat. We'll go over those. Thank you, Bravely, for that. INDO, we'll do that. See what we got going on. INDO. No, Indonesia Energy. Yeah, I mean, these energy plays are definitely in play. There it is, 5-minute time frame. Obviously, liquidity issues here, but from $3.60 up to $4, that's 12.5% in one day. So thank you for that. Now, I mean, there it is, a nice little pop in BTC. We're in at the right place, right? So us being wrong, I only had to give 4 cents. We hit a little bit higher than that, at the high of around 10 cents. Let's see if we can run into 12. Get that 2 to 1. Ooh, aggressive flush to the downside. But that trend has been breached, and that's what we want to see. Tesla's still holding up. I like that. But buying pressure really, really weak, okay? And I'm not going to be adding into any more of this. Later in the day is when I'll start to push some more shares around that 3 o'clock level when I can really hone in and focus and then see what Tesla's been up to, even though we're pretty good. It's better. Today's session better than yesterday. Only I'm not even gonna say that. I don't want to jinx anything. Knock on wood. Now moving forward, I was gonna pull this up, Shreep, because I know that it is. It's past 1 o'clock here now, 1:07.
I have something to cover.
Go ahead.
So Magdalena's World. I can't say your name. Sorry, Magdalena's. She's asking about short float, and it's a great question. She's like, look, explain the short float and its effect on stock price. So it's more, yes, it does affect the price, of course, but really what you're looking for here when you're identifying the short float is the possibility that a stock can become parabolic. What ends up happening is when a lot of people are short, especially in a concentrated area, let's just take VSA, for example, here at Assassino. Let's just say, for example, there's a lot of sellers short between, let's say, the fifth of a dollar to the third of a dollar. I'm just giving you any numbers, okay? What ends up happening is when buyers start buying up into that price and it clears that price, just like you would have for a long position, you have a stop loss, so do the shorts. So the higher the short percentage and the more concentrated they are in one area, the more likely that if the price reaches that concentrated area where the shorts are, they'll have to cover, meaning that they'd have to buy in order to be able to get out of their short positions. So what ends up happening is you have double the amount of buying. You have the shorts covering at that level, and then you see the longs, look, oh, why is this exploding? This is trending, let me get in. So then the longs start buying. So the higher the short float for a name, for a ticker, the more chances it has of having that parabolic up move upward. But it becomes more nuanced because then you have to make an educated guess as to where the shorts are, right? Because it's hard to know. So sometimes you can make educated guesses based on a longer term time frame to see, an area where a certain price keeps rejecting all the time from the down to the upside. Like say you're trying to move into $1.40 and it never seems to be able to clear that $1.40 area, or there's a zone, say $1.40, $1.45 that it can't clear. So you can make an educated guess that a lot of shorts are concentrated in that area. And if you were to clear that area from the long to the from the south to the north side, you're going to force a lot of them out. And so that's kind of what we use, that whole short float and days to cover and all the different metrics that we talk about. That's why it's relevant. So I hope that helps, Magdalena, and thank you very much for that. What's his name? Luis, VSA risk, medium. Instrument, shelf 1. Warrants, he's talking about. Luis, which one are you talking about there, brother? Because you gave a whole lot of data.
VSA.
Pardon me?
VSA.
VSA?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Okay, where is it? Oh, VSA risk right there. So VSA risk is medium. Warrants 1, offering ability high. Overheated supply low. Historical high. This is excellent, man. We got to pull this up, man. I gotta put that on my to-do daily list here to pull up the Luis intranet, the Academia Day Trading intranet that Luis helped us with yesterday. So I'm long here on VSA at 19s. I'm looking for a move to clear that 28 penny level, Joey. Here it comes back into that $0.25 area again. Let's see if we're able to breach prior bar high. Prior bar high is $1.28. We're showing 24s, 25s. There's definitely selling in and around the $0.25 almost every time. And we were only above the $0.25 momentarily. So you kind of feel there wasn't that aggressive buying at that level. So we'll continue to watch here. We'll see what this one has to offer. Continuing to watch via AIFF as well. That one is stair-stepping up. It's given you a couple of opportunities to pick it up off the 20. But there goes AIFF, into 60 again. And there goes VSA into the area high. Can we clear the shorts in this area? I've put my orders out. Let's see if they trigger. Looking for 29. 29 has got a cross for me to get filled, so we'll pack the patience on that. Above that, I'm waiting at 33. Huge seller here at 39. We can't shake them. So we'll wet the beak here and we'll let that one run. But yeah, VSA, good move up. Be careful with it though. As Luis said, higher risk for reversal. BATL is also turning back around, guys. 730, and it's now trading into 680. So BATL in trouble. Be careful with that. Oh, BRKB. You want to cover that, Joey?
Yes, we got the nice, man. Let me take that BRKB. Let's take a look at that right now, guys. It's Berkshire, isn't it? Hathaway, B class. All right. Remember the arbitrage trade that was on this thing a couple years ago?
Pardon me?
Remember when this thing tanked and then it was there was like I think it might have been Berg A that tanked, but it was just like, oh my God, it dumped like so much, and then sure enough it just climbed right back. There was a glitch within the system, Madeira.
Some more headlines here out of the Middle East as we tend to be having. I do want to mention here, I'll start with ABC reporting that the Pentagon is preparing to surge as many as 5,000 troops into the Middle East. Some forces are apparently already in transit. We already heard they were going to send 1,000 to 1,500 troops here from the 82nd Airborne Regiment. Now it looks like they're, again, going to be sending as many as 5,000 troops in total. Back to you.
Thank you for, I mean, you don't want more boots on the ground. I don't think that's good. 5,000, we heard that number from before.
I don't want any boots on the ground there, man.
You don't.
I'm not even American.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately not going to be the reality that we're facing, man. You just don't want, like, the thing is, you don't want it to escalate, you know what I mean? To more than what it already is.
Like, I mean, and then do you not remember
then
Iraq,
that's years.
man? Like, do you not remember the infinite amount of IEDs on the roadside and Marines and soldiers driving by in Hummers and coming home missing limbs?
But
Who needs that crap again, man?
I think that Iran has a little bit more of an established army than when they were fighting.
They used to.
Right? I mean, I think it'd be a little bit more of a different war. I mean, obviously, you're going to have that implemented, but there's more, I guess, like militias or something they were going up against. But anyways,
it's ugly.
BRKB, heading towards some key support levels. I would wait for that 475 level to break. I think it's going to at some point. You have multiple tops up here, and you form these lower highs off of these pivots, right? So at some point, the momentum's going to kick up. If it comes into this zone one more time and then curls right back over, just be cautious on this one. It hasn't done anything for quite some time. August of 25, essentially been consolidating within a range. A lot of choppy price action across the board, really.
All right, guys, continue to watch VSA holding the higher lows for now, but continuing to get a lot of resistance in the high 20s. It hasn't quite made it up, obviously, to 30. I think that the appropriate strategy here would be to look for a trend continuation. So the prior bar low is 114. You can give it to maybe 113. I think that that's where I'm just going to place my stop on that, and we'll keep definitely an eye on that. So we'll see what VSA has to offer over here. In terms of trend, it's coming down pretty aggressively here. All right, let's watch. Does it lose trend? New bar. New bar just opened up. Back into 22 it goes, so good continuation. Nothing to really write home about there. But I'm worried about the loss of the low of the 105 bar, which I've earmarked as 14, so I'll get out 13. Separately, AIFF is stair-stepping up, but it's definitely got a shelf at 60. Every time it comes into 60 pennies, it's met with selling. So that is a bit of a problem there. And now you can kind of see a bit of a rounding pattern. With the high into 65, then the lower high. Below 50 pennies, I would say is not a good idea to put your stop because it's been below 50 pennies and then it's made area highs. What I see here as respect for AIFF is the 20 moving average on the 5. So if it loses a 20, I personally get out. You can see it hasn't lost the 20 at all. It's definitely zigged and zagged a little with the 10. The 20, by the way, guys, I do apologize, is the yellow line on my chart. So it's been respectful of the 20 on a wick and closing basis. If it loses that, that probably would be a good out there. But I'm continuing to watch here VSA as this one is not below prior bar low and not above prior bar high. So we're so very much in a consolidative state. And not a consolidative state, but a state of equilibrium between buyers and sellers. And here we go. This is turning into 2 topping tail candles now on VSA, so you have to be on alert for the flush. I've got my stop at 13. There's 13, there's 12, and we'll stop out there. So we'll get out of that. Let's see if it sets up a little bit better. I would say the buy zone here is between 105 to 1. Why I say 105, 105, 106? Because that's where the 10 EMA is. And then you have 1 where the volume weighted average price is, as well as the psychological area of support. There is also support below that, so it does create a bit of a nuisance here. The reason I say that is because look at the 95 area. You definitely had a resistance at 95 because you didn't quite make it up to 1. So that's another thing to look out for there. But I'm going to continue to watch AIFF as this one stair-steps into that 60 penny level, and we'll keep an eye out on that. Let me just have a look at my scanner here, see if anything else is making a move. In the world of small cap gappers, EEIQ is not tradable, neither is FCHL. KOD is apparently making a big move here, and it just got into the high of the day. A bit more expensive of a name, but we'll look at it nonetheless. Give me a sec to load up the chart. Kodiak Sciences, $2.4 billion market cap, so it's definitely not a small cap gapper, but a very respectable chart pattern. Definitely danced a little bit with the volume weighted average price. It was breaching it on occasion, but mostly holding above it. 39.50 is the price. This one looks like it might be on its way to 40 here. Light volume until, of course, the implied balance open. Then we got a bit of a volume spike. Now we're doing about, I want to say 58 to 60,000 shares per 5-minute candle, which isn't great, but it's not bad. So KOD could be another one there. The spread on KOD, as I see it, is 37 pennies. This is pretty cool. Like, look at this. So I'm able to put the spread on my scanner, so I don't even need to load up the chart on the level 2 to see what the spread is. It'll just show you right there. So that way I'll know immediately whether this is something that interests me or not. So it is a bit of a wider spread. 30 pennies, 10 pennies ranges here on KOD. That probably should account into whether you want to trade it or not. Emmanuel wants to look at FCHL. I see FCHL over here. It's not my favorite. It's well below the volume weighted average price, and it's kind of looking like it wants to lose that $3 area, quite frankly. So this one had a really big move in the aftermarket at around 4, and it's been a fade the pop type situation. Area high, lower high, lower high, lower high does breach 1020. That probably fooled a lot of people, as that did take out the pre-market high. It was quite short-lived, and here we are again, barely holding on to 3. So FCHL for me, brother, is a no-go, quite frankly. BATL is headed back to the volume-weighted average price. Could be a buy between 670 and 660, Joey.
Good look there, good look there. Yeah, I was hitting the keyboard behind me. That one worked. But what didn't work was just me getting out. I should have just held on to it. I was just seeing if it did, and it stopped me out. Again, I didn't have anything on it, right? It's coffee money, essentially, so nothing crazy on that front. And, I mean, it hasn't been a bad one, right? Like, well, let's go over our trades from the day. We're going to kick things off with the NASDAQ here, which is our second best performer on the session. Initially in there, just working on some hotkeys, we get involved. I was like, whatever, 50-50 play coming out of the gate. You might get a pop, and if you get that sustained move, then you're just rocking and rolling just to start things off. But then we just stick to our original stop, get out of that one, and then sure enough comes back in. Momentum really starts to accelerate, and I'm like, all right, this is our time to party a little bit. And then sure enough, look at this hold from 97 all the way to 31. Okay, well, just risking a couple of pennies, so a solid hold on that front. Nice move there on TQQs. No continuation on today's intraday price action, just speaks of a somewhat weak market. Moving forward, I only traded 3 names if we're going to consider whatever I just did on IBIT, Ishcoin. Now, NVDL, guys, small pops. Let's get into the nitty-gritty and get it a little bit more detailed so we can see exactly what I was looking at. Now, I talk about this quite often. We want to focus on the tape. The tape can tell you a lot. It's like your side mirrors, right? If you're just driving the average vehicle. Shout out to all my transport truck drivers or people hauling rigs. You don't really have that rear view mirror. You got to use your side mirrors. All right, what are our side mirrors here? And someone that I used to trade with a while ago kind of just used the reference like this, and I like it, is that your level 2 and your time of sales. You need those side mirrors just so you can see essentially what's really going on behind the scenes. All right. Now, what we have here essentially is just a hammer candle right here. Boom. I'm like, all right, let's rock and roll. It held up. We take a nice little scalp right there, in at 75, all the way up to 86s, and then sure enough, boom. That worked out really well for us. And then we do it. I'm like, oh, it's starting to curl over. Typically, we would get that continuation. Wasn't necessarily the case. So I'm like, let's get out, break even. I took half off there. Patience, patience, patience. Now, 1022, all the way to 1050. So we waited 28 minutes for this, right? So I think it's really important to note is that you don't have to get in all the time. Wait for those signals to come into play, and they typically do within these volatile markets. All right, so we take our second attempt. And this is when I'm calm and cool and I'm just like, all right, let's rock and roll and not overly antsy and like not willing to be wrong. Here, totally fine, considering I am going counter trend as well too. So, nice little move there, 755 we're in out. We take some out at 64s, comes back to our break even. Adios.
Amigo.
But what did I say multiple times here? Third time's the charm. Boom, 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 boom. We do take half of our position out there because I thought maybe we'd have the same narrative, but we are fortunate enough to go on this nice long leg higher, and then eventually we go for the ad. We wait for the ad, and it didn't work out for us, and that's totally fine. So you want to see how the algo trades are doing today? Yeah, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Let's pull it up here, actually. We got all the time in the world. Well, we don't. We got to be off at 155. Otherwise, Katina Man will be mad. Yeah, we don't want to get Katina Man mad. All right, yeah, let's pull it up. Let's see how some of them are. I have some of them. I didn't upload the other two on this one. This is the inverse. So let's go over the inverse here today. The 5-minute NVDA, not so good. When was the last time it took its trade? March 4th. We'll flip things around. We'll shut this off, turn this on, and the metrics on this has not been performing good whatsoever. All right, and that's totally fine. Nothing is going to be guaranteed. You want to look over the months and over the years. Now, here's a name that has been performing really well, but it probably took a couple big hits, and that's Circle. Circle, March 24th, we took that last attempt, no go. Big time loss on this one. Before we go over to Adira, we'll take a look. Grabs a bunch of shares within, it takes a substantial haircut. The volatility was in. That was on that day where we dropped 25+% and then continued to the downside. But considering that loss, you're still positive 2K on that one from February to March. Adira.
Oh. I like that transition. I wasn't quite prepared for that. Keep an eye here on the market, specifically oil as well here, as Reuters reports that hardliners within Iran are ramping up their calls for a nuclear bomb. So Iranian hardliners wanting a nuclear bomb. Keep an eye here on oil. Again, geopolitical tensions can and will move oil. I want to talk about YCBD as well. This is company is called CBMD Inc. This is, of course, a CBD play, as you can tell by the name. Cannabis Business Times reporting that the White House has scheduled a meeting for the FDA's new CBD compliance enforcement policy. So it looks like there could be some update here with CBD and the FDA. If I get more news or details, I will let you know. Back to you.
This is kind of what I meant when I said that we need to be careful with the negotiations, because you could be talking to one arm and the other arm could be thinking or saying or doing an entirely other thing. Iranian hardliners are increasingly vocal about pursuing a nuclear bomb amid ongoing U.S.-Israeli attacks. Sources say with the Revolutionary Guards now dominant after the death of the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, calls to abandon the NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, I'm assuming, and consider nuclear weapons are gaining traction. While Iran has not officially changed its nuclear policy and still cites Khamenei's fatwa against bombs, state media and hardline politicians are publicly questioning the ban. Analysts say Iran's goal has long been threshold state capability, but the war may push hawkish voices, towards advocating a bomb. I'm assuming advocating for a bomb. That's a misprint. The space and feasibility of building a weapon remain uncertain due to recent airstrikes on Iran's nuclear and ballistic facilities. I think that's probably a fair assessment. They probably put them back several years, but that doesn't change the narrative that I've really been stressing is I don't think you have a homogenized faction in the way that you'd be negotiating with, say, Venezuela, right, where the government seemed to kind of just hold up there. Guys, I'm back in VSA. And we'll see if this one holds up. The reason I say that is because it keeps holding up above the 10 EMA on the 5. It keeps defending it. And it's also got higher lows ever since that reversal candle. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that. But I am going to get out of AIFF now, because this now feels like it's ready to drop. 249. I think this is the first time we actually closed below the 20 EMA on the 5. So I'm going to end my trade here. If it regains trend, or it finds support, I can change my tune about that. But I think that AIFF may be coming down either into, you know, that 40 penny area, 30 penny. We'll see. If it catches a bid and it breaks above 60, we can have a different conversation. But now, going to keep an eye here on the 10 EMA on VSA, Joey. Let's see what that one has to offer, and we'll kind of report back to you guys.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, the market did put in a new low. You have NVDA putting in a break of the neckline here. The Nasdaq just continuing to slide here, guys. It's not looking good. How do we? Did we take it? Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a long time ago, and our guest this morning was just talking about the distribution. So it's going to take a little bit longer than what we're anticipating, considering the run that we were just on. We eventually broke through the support levels. I just had that hunch that was going to happen, and sure enough, I think this is going to be that next level. The quicker we get there, the better, in my opinion, but it just might take a little bit longer than what we're expecting. That would be about 15% on the Qs here. So, hey, I'm surprised it's held up this well, considering, right? Like, you have this guy down substantially. You have Microsoft down 30%. You have Meta now down 30%. So it's not too good of a look. Tesla, I don't even think it's anywhere close to its previous all-time high. So, I mean, here it is. 25% there. So, I mean, not as bad as some of the other names, but not good either, right? Tesla's definitely a tougher hold. What else do we got? Goggles, you're now down about 5 or 7% off of that high. Wow, it is getting beaten up today, Sharif.
What happened? Goggles?
Yes,
yeah,
18%.
Head and shoulders, man. I told y'all yesterday. That's why. When do you ever see me put a news story in the morning or the morning note that's technically based? Almost never.
Oh, yeah.
Almost
okay.
never.
Wait,
I don't even remember the last time I did. But you have to, because it was there.
And our guest mentioned that this morning as well, too.
Yeah, a day later.
Okay, I see we're getting that there, Sharif. But no, even we talked about that. You could be the best in class, regardless of what's going on. You're going to pull back eventually, and we've seen the same thing in Microsoft. Everybody's partying. This is all fun and games, right? And then until you're on the backside of the trend, and it's time to go home. So, I mean, Microsoft, you're having a heyday, you're having a bunch of fun over here, and then sure enough, this is the multi-month hangover from this little bit of fun right here. So,
like half an hour late, but whatever, who cares? All right, let's do the news segment. We'll talk a little bit about these. We'll just go through them a bit quick. California judge ruled against Meta and Alphabet, finding their platforms contributed to harm among teens. Companies were ordered to pay $3 million to the plaintiff, as well as another $3 million in punitive damages each. That includes Meta and YouTube. The case centered on claims that the platforms were designed to be addictive as well as harmful to minors. This marks a rare legal loss for big tech under the protections of Section 230, which they've been using for decades. The verdict, and this is why it's such a big deal, Meta's down 7 1/3. Holy, the verdict could open the doors, essentially floodgates, for more lawsuits that target social media design as well as the addiction features in the algorithm. The jury found that they failed to warn users adequately about the risks to teens. Challenges, obviously, the long-standing legal shield that we just spoke about there under the Communications Decency Act, specifically Section 230. Meta says right away it plans to appeal, arguing the evidence showed no intentional harm. Zuck testified that the company has moved away from these time spent optimization metrics that they had previously been using, but YouTube acknowledged that they did need to improve, but they emphasized the existing user safety tools like screen time reminders, scroll limits, etc. That was their reaction. But Joey, it didn't convince the jury, and the jury made them pay here about $3 million a pop and $3 million in punitive damages. So punitive damages are given typically when
what's up, Randy?
When there's bad motives, there's bad intentions, there's been bad actions by in this case the defendant. And so could this open the floodgates for more?
I think so. I think a lot of people are
MySpace research.
Wrong MySpace. A lot of people are referring this to the tobacco moment.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting, and that's for one individual who's getting this $3 million. plus, right? So essentially $6 million is going into their pocket. I don't know. I was reading up on it, but I don't know who this individual is. I'm sure you can figure it out. But to state that they are the reason Instagram and YouTube are the reason and the cause of their depression, I think that if you can win that off of what you're obviously claiming, then you can absolutely open the floodgates on this, because how many younger individuals have these platforms really affected, whether it be from scrolling or from a lifestyle standpoint, the flashiness and people just not being able to achieve those things that they want, and they fall into these depressive states. It can get really dangerous. So the tobacco moment, maybe, but there's also some other reasons why they're not. So it's very interesting stuff, really. And I also talked to you yesterday about the grading of how they prioritize some of the issues and the flagged posts within Instagram. Children protective is on the lower end.
That's crazy to me. That's crazy.
So
getting out
they're more worried about protecting the political face than they were about the children.
And that's sad. And that's very sad. If that's true, that's very sad. All right, Adara, give us your take here.
Yeah, I think my thing is, I said it yesterday, but I think it does bear repeating. The fact that in a span of 24 hours, you get 2 jury or whatever, either way, court rulings here against Meta, where Meta's found liable again in a 24-hour period, and they're not on the exact same thing. Like the first was child abuse or child safety concerns, rather. This one had to do with social media addiction, right? This is personal injury. So I think the fact that you've seen these be successful, you kind of wonder if the floodgates are open, if we're going to get more cases against Meta. I do want to talk about this infographic. This is kind of a quick rundown as to what happened here and all of the damages. I'm going to drop this here in our chat. It is, of course, available on Exit TTV Research. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see more how this goes forward. It's interesting that Meta initially kind of reacted positively, but man, they are paying for it now. Apparently at their lows, which they're almost still at now, they actually went below Tesla in market cap. So Tesla now is a market cap greater than Meta. Back to you.
Yeah, it's not a good look, man. It's certainly not a good look. All right, let's talk about, we're going to skip the next one here. It's just about Meta job cuts. This one also, just Google faces a leadership gap. Their India's top lawyer, Google's top Indian lawyer resigned after 16 months. Apparently, this is a very critical time for Google in India. There seems to be a lot of regulatory headwinds for that company, as well as other big tech in India. I don't think that that's really the big move. Let's talk about this one. So this is very interesting here. Uber expanding into robo-taxis. We know that they're using multiple different affiliates and partners. This one deals with Pony AI. Pony AI is a Chinese company. So Uber is partnering with Pony AI and Vern, we'll get to Vern in a second, to launch robo-taxi services in Europe. Initially, they're going to begin in Zagreb in Croatia, marking a new international expansion push. They're going to integrate, Uber that is going to integrate the service into its existing global ride-hailing platform. And Pony AI here, what their part in this whole thing is, they're going to provide the autonomous driving tech. So much like FSD, that's their version. Vern, they're going to operate the fleet itself, okay? And Uber is just going to operate the logistics, bringing the ride-hailing customer to, vis-a-vis their app. The move reflects the growing competition, of course, amongst Chinese AV firms, autonomous vehicle firms. We know WeRide, Baidu's Apollo Global as well. They're involved now. Pony AI. Pony is already in Europe via the Stellantis partnership, starting in Luxembourg. So they already have a kind of a foothold there. Croatia specifically was selected for its strong tourism demand, which supports longer-term ride-hailing volume, according to the report. The plan includes scaling to thousands of robo-taxis across European cities over time. And as I mentioned, the partnership here is going to be as such: Pony AI, the technology provider; Vern, the fleet owner/operator; Uber, the distribution layer, so the customer demand and the app integration. The model, Joey, reduces capital burn on Uber. You and I were talking about this specific thing. We said Uber's kind of making themselves the go-to marketplace for autonomous vehicles. So you want an AV and you want customers, you go to Uber. They've already got all the ride-hailing people there.
They have the ride-hailing one. I took one this morning.
One this morning?
Yeah, I took one this morning.
Right. I totally forgot.
Took one the past couple of days. Gave my guy 5 stars. 20%.
You gave your guy a 5 stars?
Yeah. And
was he driving quick? Because he got you to work quick?
A couple U-turns here and there.
Couple U-turns.
Seriously.
He's got a maneuver.
Yeah, it's in the city,
Olivia
man.
Chow,
Yeah,
you know,
there.
with every corner there's construction.
I have to have a conversation with her painting the lines red. But no, in all, I don't know why.
You hear about Brad Bradford? He's got my vote.
Brad Bradford? No, who's that guy?
He's yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he's a city councilor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got my vote.
What's he talking about?
He's talking about making the city a bit better, less Olivia Chowish.
So what, are we going to reduce the parking fines?
I don't know,
right.
but I'd like some. I don't know. Go on. Sorry to digress a little bit.
We can get right into that if you want to. No, but in all seriousness, Pony AI looking to expand its AV 3,000 vehicles within the coming year. It being one of China's top 3 autonomous vehicle competitors. That is, so it's looking pretty good. And as you mentioned, Uber's becoming the middleman here. And if you have the vehicle, we'll give you the platform, and that way you can expand. So I like these partnerships that Uber's been getting into.
Thank you very much. Let's talk about Micron. Are they down big today as well? They were. Micron, yeah, they're down 6%. SanDisk getting slapped 9.25. This one could be SSR pretty quick here. Morgan Stanley, they reiterated their overweight rating on Micron, and they pushed back against the recent sell-off in memory stocks. The firm views the pullback as a normal repricing of durability concerns. They say, look, memory is now described as the bottleneck in AI infrastructure. We have to pause. There is breaking Microsoft news.
MSFT did push a little bit lower here, as you can see. As the information reports, the company is freezing hiring in major cloud and sales groups. Now, we talked about this before. The information not always seen as like the most reliable source for some of these stories. There's sometimes more details will come out, and or these stories are a little bit older. But again, reportedly, executives at Microsoft are telling managers at major divisions, which includes Azure Cloud and the North American sales groups, not to do any more hiring. Back to you. Yeah,
more freezing there. With respect to hiring from big tech. So memory described as the bottleneck in AI infrastructure. This is according to Morgan Stanley, of course. The demand is so strong that customers are reportedly prepaying for large volume memory deals. That's atypical in the case. You don't usually prepay. You pay on arrival. AI's share of the semiconductor spending apparently will reach well above 50%. Another reason to kind of feel that there could be more of a tailwind. And they say, look, the traditional peak cycles indicators like, flat pricing, rising CapEx, productivity gains, they've appeared prompting caution. However, Morgan really wants to stress in this particular case, they argue this cycle is not behaving like past memory cycles due to the structural AI demand. So they really want to kind of differentiate the previous glut of inventory and then not enough, which has been typical of the memory of RAM, the business. They say it's a little bit different this time around. Specifically, they say DRAM supply stack is effectively gone, which tightens the market even more. The firm sees persistent supply-demand imbalance, and they say, look, gross margins are ridiculous at 81%. That's higher than NVIDIA's, mid-70s. They say those are unlikely to be sustained, but they don't think there's going to be near-term margin compression because of the insane amount of demand. Now, one thing I really want to stress is they didn't address directly the algorithm that Google supposedly says will reduce some of the reliance on RAM by creating efficiencies. So they didn't address that directly in the report.
Like across the board or just for Google?
No, well, it's a technology algorithm, so I'm assuming they probably license it.
So they can monetize it and sell it to people?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's a solid point. If we take into consideration how much memory this AI build-out is actually chewing up, it's hindering essentially the production for other sectors as well too, Sharif, like the smartphone and PCs.
Exactly.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, but the way that I'm looking at this, though, is that analysts are saying there's still a lot of room to run. just be cautious when they say that, because then you see those hectic dumps. It's like they wanted to trap the longs thinking that it's going to double in price again. Well, that may not necessarily be the case, but what we do have backing is the fundamentals behind it. It's just that this AI build-out and the hyperscaler CapEx spend is there, so maybe you can see this trajectory be continued, but these high margins, is that sustainable? I don't know. I think it'll cool off eventually, but yeah, I mean, it is bottlenecking, as you mentioned, and it's making it production. We know with the iPhone, it's about 12 to 13% of the value of the iPhone that's going to be increased using memory cost, that is. So that's going to increase as well, too. So
I don't think Apple's going to increase prices, though. They're going to take the margin hit.
Do you think they're going to take the margin hit?
But they also do. So I had to look into this because this was a big problem for me, right? I had to worry about what the iPhone 18 was going to bring. So apparently, they manage a little bit through LTAs, long-term agreements, but my understanding is...
Okay, so they're fixed for a while.
Until August. That's when the price resets, according to the LTA that they have now with their suppliers. However, they do plan on using their scale to basically take your entire inventory, but they're going to take it at a bit of lesser price than the other person would have. But that doesn't mean that there won't be margin compression. I think there will be.
They'll see an increase, right? They'll see an increase.
I don't think they're going to increase the price.
No, I mean in the cost of obviously the memory, right? Like you'll uptick it a little bit, but not as much. The more you grab, the cheaper typically things get.
My understanding as well is they're going to try to push you into the premium devices by incentivizing you to buy the premium devices where they have larger, higher, or better margins than their smaller or their cheaper devices. So do we
think with Apple, even though we love this new cheaper MacBook, how much of a hit do you think they're going to take on this one just due to memory?
The MacBook's going to be a major mover for them. Did you see the video that Marcus Brownlee dropped yesterday?
No, I didn't see the one that he dropped yesterday.
You
like it. I like the idea as well, too, considering... You think so?
Oh, it's done.
But I mean, how much is this memory going to affect the margins on this thing being
It's 8 gigs, Joey. It's as
small
as it gets.
Small as it gets. All right. Yeah. So I mean, that's tough.
Marques Brownlee doesn't usually say a lot of good stuff about Apple anyway lately. I think he's a fair guy.
You like the Slim.
I haven't even seen one person with that.
I
haven't.
Person with this thing.
Anyway, I think he was fair about that. Let's talk about Supermicro hit with a lawsuit amid the export probe fallout. So SMCI is facing a proposed class action lawsuit now, alleging securities fraud. Some of their former founders are facing criminal probes. This is different. This is a civil lawsuit naming the company specifically. The company wasn't named in the criminal indictment. Plaintiffs claim the company misled investors by concealing reliance on China-linked sales. The allegations include overstated growth prospects and weak export control compliance disclosures. And they are also seeking damages for investors who held the stock from April 2024 to March of this year. So about a little bit less than 2 years, less a month. The legal action follows a major U.S. indictment tied to illegal AI hardware exports to China. 3 individuals, including SMCI co-founder, were charged in connection with the case, allegedly facilitating $2.5 billion and more in server shipments, including systems using NVIDIA's GPU. As I mentioned, SMCI was not named as a defendant in the criminal indictment. However, in this civil lawsuit, they target SMCI specifically, and they're saying corporate disclosure and investor communications are where the mischief is. Adira.
I have a new story actually on SMCI, and this story in particular, I'm seeing reports that the chip security bill has advanced in the House following the Supermicro case. Looks like it's awaiting consideration here by the House and Senate. So SMCI pushing lower here. If I get more details, I'll let you know. Let's take a look here at MSOS. Marijuana Moment reporting that the White House has scheduled a meeting on cannabis product enforcement policy for next week. We already heard about an FDA meeting with regards to CBD. Now we're getting an MSOS story again with the White House review. Last but not least, I just want to mention, I just saw this one coming through now. USO, and watch this one, continuing to make new intraday highs. Secretary of State Marco Rubio commenting that it's in the G7's best interest to help the U.S. handle the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you.
Yes. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before. It's not good. Shareholders now suing them, essentially, a lawsuit against them. But it makes people not want to do business with the sketchy company, except for Danny Boy, the cheese tycoon. But at the end of the day, they've been a repeat offender. We've seen it in regards to their earnings report. We've seen it now. They're shipping chips illegally to China. Why would you want to do business with this company if they're going to continuously do these sketchy things?
AIFF is breaking out. New high a day, guys. $2.76. $2.76, 62.25%, showing 272, but a great breakout above that 265 level and into 276 it goes. This one could see $3 today if we continue to hold structure. Great look for AIFF, guys. Keep your eye out on that one. Let's move on to the next story. I'm not going to talk about CrowdStrike. Let's talk about Pony AI. So as we mentioned, Pony AI did report earnings in addition to announcing their deal with Uber. So Pony expects more than double its robo-taxi fleet to about 3,000 vehicles across 20 different cities by this year, with nearly half deployed internationally. The key expansion markets are going to include Europe. We talked about that Croatia launch, the Middle East, as well as Asia. You know, they're really looking here for global commercialization. The company's positioning itself along peers like Baidu's Apollo and WeRide in the race for global AV leadership. Pony is partnering with Uber. We already talked about that. Let's talk about their financial performance. They reported their first ever quarterly profit of $75.5 million. That is really driven by investment gains tied to trading securities. So it doesn't really have anything to do with the fundamentals of the company, according to the report. Adjusted operating performance improved meaningfully. Their revenue more than doubled. to $6.7 million. They made $75.5 million in profit, but their revenue was $6.7 million. So it tells you the bulwark of their money and profit was trading securities. That doesn't really help for our purpose. Total annual revenue rose 20% to $90 million. There's a net loss for the full year that narrowed down to about 134, which makes sense because they're still very much in development. Unit economics and efficiency. The company reached single unit break even in Guangzhou and Shenzhen, meaning each additional robotaxi contributes positively to margins. That's a positive step, and they reduced their cost in their next gen autonomous systems by about 70%. That's a huge cost reduction, which is a key milestone for scalability. Gross margins, you know, typically you see better than this, man, 15.7% for software. And this is what this is, right? This is software. This should be a lot higher. It says still pressured by robo-truck revenue mix and early stage deployment costs. That kind of makes sense, but gross margins on a software should be at least above 50% from my understanding. What's your take here on Pony?
Yeah, still in the early stages. I mean, we IPO'd there, Sharif, in November of 2024. The expansions there, 160% increase in revenue. That's not bad whatsoever, considering the technology is still relatively new. They're teaming up with Uber. They're getting their foot in the door in the right places. They're some of the top AV companies in China as well, too, the top 3. So it's still an early play, in my opinion. Give them a little bit of time, considering it's software, increase in margins, that can be positive, and that just gives them a little bit more room to run, teaming up with Toyota as well.
Yeah, Toyota. All right, Derek, give us your take on Pony.
Yeah, I have this little visual here. I think what was really interesting with Pony AI for revenue is how different, like, the gains year over year in terms of, like, the different business segments actually were. So Robotaxi, this was up 160% year over year. I will give them credit for that. Robotaxi services, relatively flat. No, the licensing and applications thing is interesting. This is down 53% year over year, but I was reading the report and there is a reason for this. And it's interesting. You hear a lot about one-time charges that companies will take. This is the first time I've ever seen a company basically, I guess last year, so Q4 2024, the year ago quarter, they had a one-time revenue recognition. So they had a project-based revenue. It allowed that revenue to be like nearly 20 million in that segment last quarter. Now, of course, that wasn't the case this quarter because it was one time. That's why this revenue is so down. I do want to address that because it's not necessarily inherently the company's fault. It's just they had a really nice win this quarter last year. They didn't have it this quarter this year. Overall, 18% year-over-year revenue decline. Not bad yet. It'll be interesting to kind of see that the securities earnings are pretty interesting in terms of the trading there. We're going to have to wait for more details on that. But I don't think this is a bad report all in all for PONY. It is interesting, though, the extent that robotaxi revenue growth is kind of lifting everything else.
Here, guys, we'll touch back in here and see what we got going on. NVDA neckline broke at 173. You're now trading at 172.50. Microsoft continuing its slide, putting in a new low of the day. So the market weakness is definitely in. You can see it from a daily as well if you zoom out a little bit, guys. No signs of any strength just yet, so it's just best to go with the flow and wait until later in the session, maybe 3:30 if you're going to find somewhat of a bounce. But the trajectory not looking too good, and the market extremely weak. Let's take a look at the SPY before we head over to that next story. Same thing, same narrative, new low of the day, broke through support levels and it continued to the southeast.
All right, guys, big breakout here. I want to say on AIFF that's still holding, so it hasn't retraced. It's kind of holding that 260s area, so keep an eye out on that. And thank you, Grunfeld, for pointing out KOD, one that we looked at earlier, but I negated to put on my side chart. Great move up into $40. It clears it by about half a dollar, 46 pennies, but here it is back again. Lower by 60 pennies, 70 pennies now off that $40 resistance. So keep your eye on that. But, you know, as you zoom in, you can kind of see the respect that it has for the 10 EMA. So I'd be looking at that possibly for continuation. KOD, nicely up on the day, man, 73%. Not a small cap gapper in the technical sense, $2.4 billion for that name. So be on the lookout for that. And BATL continuing to hold up above the volume weighted average price. Looks like a bit of a head and shoulders maybe forming here, but hey, if it takes out 690 again, forget about that head and shoulders pattern. It could be on its way to 7, on to 730. So BATL, and we saw it, this one today, it wasn't really moving with oil all the time, sometimes. So let's move on to the next topic. We're going to skip Jeffries. Let's talk about NA or Navin over here. This one was up big on the day. How much is it up now? 35%. They reported Q4 earnings of basically $178 million. That beats the 162 expected by analysts, with adjusted EPS coming in at 2 pennies. The street was looking for a 12-penny loss. So this is a really good report, and probably why they're up 34%. $3 billion market cap, by the way. Total revenue grew at 35%. Driven by broad-based strength across key segments. Usage revenue especially 35% up year over year on the quarter, with subscription revenue also up 29%. There goes AIFF taking out the area high again. This is now at 79 pennies. This one is on its way to $3. It may not spend a lot of time there though. But I want to point out the fact that we're getting far fewer topping tail candles now on AIFF than we were getting earlier on. So this might mean that the shorts are a little bit squeezed here. Keep your eye on AIFF, pick it up off technical levels, and be quick with your profit taking. It may not spend that much time in the mid to high 90s on its way to 3. Who knows? Just get your profits. We're going back to Adara.
More highs here for oil as we digest more comments on oil. Marco Rubio, U.S. Secretary of State, saying that the Strait of Hormuz could be opened tomorrow if Iran permitted it. Meanwhile, seeing reports that Iran is saying that ships must follow security protocols and avoid supporting, quote, hostile forces to transit through the Strait of Hormuz. So Strait of Hormuz tensions continue. USO continues to trade higher.
Yeah. Let's continue to look over here. Total payment volume, $1 billion for the quarter. That's up 19% year over year. They ended the year with a good amount of cash, about a little bit less than $600 million in cash and cash equivalents. The strong cash position obviously gives them flexibility to invest in product expansion. Their AI platform, let's talk about this. Management did want to emphasize its AI first platform, which kind of positions them as a disruptor in legacy travel and expense systems. Now their guide also, let's see here, pretty good. Q1 revenue guided $204 to $206 million. Look at this, man. The street was looking for 187.7. So that's a well beat there. So it's a beat on the actual quarter, a beat on revenue for the full year as well. 866 to 874 million versus estimates of 840. For those who don't know what this is, we'll just, because it's not that popular. They are an end-to-end AI-powered software platform built, according to them, to simplify global business travel and expenses T&E experience, helping users, customers, and suppliers. Their solutions include Naven Cloud, the infrastructure of its travel experience, as well as Naven native apps and enterprise integrations. What else? So basically that's what they do. Business travel and focusing on AI. Great report, though.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, some growth across the board. That's what you want to see, essentially. 35% here, 32% year over year. Yield steady at approximately 7%. So that's not bad whatsoever. We'll take a look at some of the technicals. Other than that, like, which IPO has really performed that good? We had this back in October of 25, so later last year. And sure enough, you're starting to find somewhat of a trend break and a nice sustained pop, a gap up from the report last night, and then there you go, 35%. So that's not bad. That's some form of recovery, and that's kind of what you want to see.
JBLU was up in the pre-market. It is now down goes Fraser, 6.5%. Okay, so this was bad here, but anyway, they surged. It was up, and now it's down. After the airline said they're exploring a potential sale, hiring advisors to evaluate strategic options. Who remembers the Spirit deal falling apart? The company has examined potential combinations with UAL, Alaska, Southwest, though no deal is confirmed. Follow-up reporting indicates JetBlue is not currently in active M&A talks. That was reported by Phil LeBeau of CNBC yesterday after the report came out. So you're going to have to, believe who you want there. Shares were up 16% intraday following the initial report. Then, peer airlines also showed muted reactions, suggesting the move is more idiosyncratic to JetBlue rather than sector-wide. So here's the deal. JetBlue has 2 consecutive years of revenue declines, and they haven't delivered an annual profit. Geez Louise. Since 2019, the stock's also about 75% down from its COVID-era highs in 21, showing like a prolonged period of underperformance. Investors are increasingly viewing the strategic alternatives like a sale, like a merger, restructuring, something. We're going to continue with this when we get back from Madeira.
You just be aware here, guys. I have some potential news on the SpaceX IPO. I am seeing reports suggesting that the SpaceX IPO could be reserving up to 30% for retail investors. We talked about how good this IPO could be for retail investors, but this is significant. Once I get more details, I'll let you know. But either way here, looks like SpaceX is going to be not just allowing, but welcoming retail interest in its initial public offering.
As well as it should be, man. As well as it should be, because we don't need the regulator to protect us and babysit us. If we want to get in at the IPO stage, we should feel the ability to do so. So I love this, and we know that Robinhood was also obviously looking at providing some liquidity there for their clients. Guys, AIFF into 288. It is likely going to 3. So be on the lookout for that. Let's continue the story here with a couple of minutes left. As we mentioned, 2 years of consecutive revenue declines. They're 75% off their 2021 highs. But there is regulatory overhang. As we know, any potential merger faces significant antitrust scrutiny, especially after the blocked $3.8 billion Spirit Airlines deal. That was, though, under a previous administration and a whole different game of thinking there. A federal judge ruled that the Spirit merger would reduce competition, setting a precedent for future airline consolidation. Regulatory risk remains a key hurdle here, Joey. What are your thoughts on JBL?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't understand why they would be blocked. Like, if someone wants to sell a company, again, that's way past my head.
The judge knows better.
Yeah, of course, right?
Obviously.
It doesn't make sense. But anyways, aside from that, looking for mergers with Alaska Airlines or United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, I mean, what are margins like? How have they been performing? It's really important to note that. We'll pull up some of the technicals. This market is just getting absolutely beat up right now as it's continuing to slide right now. Guys, we'll head over to JetBlue momentarily. NVDA, SPY. Here's the cues. Look at this aggressive move in volume increase right on Bitcoin at the break of that neckline. So not a good look whatsoever. We'll go over and take a look at what we got going to JBlue and see how they have been performing as of late. Zoom this out a little bit here. I mean, they did go on a little bit of a run. They're a penny stock, essentially, not performing too down 45% from that previous pivot high. We can go over and take a look at the Jets ETF and see how that's been performing. That wasn't horrible, so underperforming some of its peers. UAL, same narrative. It was a pretty good run, and then unfortunately you get that aggressive pullback, 27%. But out of the couple of names that we just went through, it's definitely been taking the brunt of most of this force here to the downside.
All right. Are we going to Neil or what are we doing?
No,
We're going to continue here, Brenda?
We can chill here if we want. We can go over to Neil. Neil's ready. Neil's ready.
He's on the way. So we'll continue, right? Okay. Continue, man, is close to on the way. Guys, AIFF is taking a bit of a turn here. Down it goes into 265, but that is the breakout level that we were talking about. So a bit of a move, 288 high.